Alright. That all looks clear and we're not dropping anything. So, welcome back to this continued experiment in seeing if anyone will watch this. Not that I actually care. And dragging my friends through very old books on RPGs that no one should be playing. Mostly because there's a more updated version of this, but that's besides the point. In any case, we're moving on to the Dungeon Master's Guide for 3.5, which is less a Dungeon Master's Guide and more some dated DM advice, some overbuilt tools for stuff, and the rest of the player's handbook.
Not wrong.
I think we're coming through fine.
Think we're coming through fine?
Yes, we are. Also,
Okay,
introductions?
Yes, introductions. I'm Vincent.
I am a stacking debuff known as the Krampus.
I'm DM Shiv.
I'm player Hunter Green. I'm apparently not allowed to look at this book.
Look through this book all you want. Most of the prestige, all the prestige classes, the base game. Look, go nuts.
And
Archmage is in this book.
Yeah. And I'm Vincent, who sits at both sides of the table.
The core of
Usually at the same
every wizard.
time. Mostly because they'd be boring without it.
Well, they want to go in prestige classes anyways, but Archmage is
Yeah.
basically the goal of any wizard build, effectively.
So I don't think I went over... Yeah.
95%.
Sure. So I don't really think I went over this last time quite as much, but especially the DM's Guide, these covers go really hard. I just love this, this thing. This is...
So I knew someone who back when like 3.5 had been out for like 2 years, commissioned actual book covers for them that were the like actual, like what we see drawn here, actually like that.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
And they were amazing. He did it for all 3 of the core books.
To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if this was an actual physical book they made and then took a picture of it for the cover.
Probably.
There's a good chance, because I can't see anything that contradicts that idea too much. If it's drawn, the guy was really on his game. Because all the shading looks perfect.
Yep. Yeah, that's what makes you think they probably just took had someone make a physical book, took a picture of it, then they obviously threw in rulebook and Dungeon Master Guide. Either painted on really well or afterwards Photoshop or something, but the actual physical main design looks like it could just be a real thing.
Yeah, especially with the light shining on that globe.
Yeah. It's consistent across all the light sources and stuff are consistent across it, shadows are consistent across it.
Yeah. Alright. So, moving on to the basically first chapter. There's technically the introduction, but we don't really have to worry about that, which is basically, how do you use this book? It's a Dungeon Master's Guide, I think we told you in the title. It's not right, but it's it's what the concept is, at least.
I mean, the beginning of the book is a Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yep.
Yeah, it's right there. What is a DM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A visible pile of secrets.
Oh,
very, very much
one thing real quick before we continue.
Uh-huh.
What's up?
Found confirmation that all of the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook and the Monster Manual were all sculptures that were made and then photographed.
Okay,
Found the
that
guy's
makes
website.
sense.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay. Now getting to the contents of the book.
His name's H.G. Higginbotham, which is fun to say, and that's all I'm going to say. Continue.
Right. So, this book starts with some basic DM advice, which, okay, I've tried to describe to people in text what is an RPG back in 2003 was a bit of a chore. This is a task in and of itself. And I wholly sympathize with this, so any criticism I give this is A, coming from 22 years later, so and B, as much in jest as anything else. So going on to that criticism, this is a very paternal style of DMing, and it might gel with some groups, especially if you're, I don't know, a parent DMing for your child, but Trying to do this with your friends is going to run into issues somewhat.
I mean, realistically, there's not any good, like truly good, written out. Here's how to DM.
No, there isn't. I mean the best advice that I can give best advice I can give any DM is practice, and
Yep.
know your group. But we'll get into that a little bit. It does go over style of play, and okay, they can think of like two, which is basically full RP, full kick in the dungeon, and something in between, which is simplistic, but it works well enough, I guess. It's an idea at least to start with. Again, this simplifies it a lot because there's a lot of different players or different types of players, and you're not going to have all the same type of player at your table. There are people who are a lot more focused on the mechanical aspects and basically the game part of the game. There's some are focused more on the RP part of the game, and there's also people in between or who are looking for something else entirely. Sometimes people are looking for like a mystery or puzzle game of some sort, and I wonder how they found why they're playing an RPG, or tabletop RPG, but that's a different matter entirely. But you can
at least run a mystery, but puzzle game is challenging.
Puzzle's a little bit challenging.
Like doing puzzles always relies on the actual intelligence of your players, not what the intelligence of their characters is.
Which is
and then you run into a situation like, I do a puzzle. Okay, do you make your players actually have to figure out this puzzle? Or do they, I don't know, roll an int check and you move on with your life?
Or do you do something in between where they get more aspects of the puzzle the better their intelligence is, or something like that. You can work with it, but that is that is advanced DMing skills and not something I would even start trying to advise someone on.
Yeah. That's something you worry about when you're starting to DM.
Yeah, the thing I would have done in that situation is a successful int check gets you a hint.
A thing that actually, in relation to this, we're doing a side tangent here. What was it? It was the revised version of, was it Mansions of Madness? Where when it had puzzles, they were typically like slide puzzle type things. And you were only allowed to look at them when your character was doing, like, they weren't all slide puzzles. They were all like typically like move things around on a little board type puzzles.
Yeah.
But you were only allowed to look at them when you were actually interacting with the puzzle, and the amount of moves you got to make, because they were all typically move things around on the board, was limited by your actual like character's like intelligence types.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a neat little mechanic actually.
It's an interesting way to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in base Mansions of Madness, and it did carry over into the second edition, which no longer had effectively its own quasi DM that hated you and wanted you to die. Because
well, I mean, the game hated you, wanted you to die. With one of the counters being, you opened the fridge, now the game ends.
Yeah, he opened the fridge. Congratulations, you lost.
You dared to explore. You released a Wendigo.
As you do.
Puck thought that was a good idea.
I don't know. But yeah, in general...
The Wendigo did.
Exactly. But yeah, in general, DMing is an art.
It was me. I wrote the book.
Well, damn. But yeah, DMing is an art in general. And as most arts, your audience is kind of the most important part. You're trying to facilitate fun.
If you're trying to run a game that your players just aren't interested in, not really going to work.
No. Let's see. And the rolling advice here continues kind of my criticism of, this advice is a bit paternal. There's a certain amount of hidden information that's reasonable, but because let's see, don't tell the players what you need to succeed. Don't tell them what all the modifiers are of the roll. Instead, tell the players to keep track of all of those things is your job. Then they roll the dice to see where they succeed or fail. Some extent that's true, and to some extent you're going to drive yourself insane trying to put all of the mathematical burden on yourself.
Yeah.
And also getting them or letting them actually know that, like, something is giving them a penalty is not a bad thing. Like,
You're
Yes,
trying to make it sound like the surface is slick. You have a -2.
yeah, stuff like that. Let's see.
That is right. The DM cannot cheat.
Yes. DM cheating and player perceptions.
That's
Yeah.
accurate. The DM does what the fuck they want.
Yeah. That is accurate. However, you should also just not be an ass about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to remember, if you're cheating just to mess with someone and make them have a bad time, you're doing it wrong.
Don't cheat to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Cheat when you need something to actually happen in the story.
Or just have
Or
something
you want,
happen
like-
in the story. You
Or
don't
what's
have.
happening happens. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't. You can just go straight into narrative when you need to. You don't have to actually fake dice rolls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Like if you're in the middle of a fight and an opponent has something say like a scythe, and you're low level where a crit with scythe is just instant death, it's perfectly fine to be like, oh, he rolled a 19 and hit and did damage rather than killing players off at the start of a session because that die happened to roll a 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
Harder to do if you're actually showing all your rolls. Obviously, it's very obvious you're turning a crit into a non-crit at that point, but like typically fudge things to make the game more interesting and not to screw over players. You don't need to fudge things to screw over players. You just screw over players when you want to.
Exactly.
True.
All right. Now the rest of the rules of the game.
Hold on. Go back one screen. I made an observation here.
Yeah.
You notice that every single one of these die are on their highest number possible, except for technically that D10.
Yeah.
On 9. I'm more confused about why the 6 has one of the dots that are usually denoted as a 6 rather than 9 on the D6 on a die that doesn't have a 9 value.
All right, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
On to the rest of the rules.
I rolled
Consistency.
9 damage. You have a problem with math.
But yes, rest of the rules.
Wait, hold on. Go back one more second. I think that D4 has no 1 result on it.
You may be right. I'm
It
not.
looks like the side on the left side is another 2.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. The far side's a blank. Completely.
Yeah.
Well, that's just shading, but I rolled a null.
Someone didn't program this dice correctly. I have to send this back to bug testing.
Oh yeah,
They
going back
just
to
forgot their rays start with 0.
going back to an earlier point. Some of the other editions' philosophies, they actually put. I don't remember which edition it was, but they actually put all of the game's rules 100% in the DM's guide.
That's dumb.
That's a fucking choice.
It is a choice. This gets even worse, though. There was advice of, okay, the players don't actually know their hit points, and you just keep track of literally fucking everything and just tell them how badly they're feeling. Yeah, exactly.
God, no.
Yeah, there's plenty to burn on yourself
That's
here and
the
there as a
last
DM. And...
bite gasp of like the second ed. That's
Oh,
the
that was-
death rattle.
Oh, no, this
second
was pretty-
ed.
Oh, that was pretty second ed. I think this was first ed.
Well, right. I mean, but like by the time we're getting to third edition, we're like, okay, we're gonna take all this stuff from second edition and we're just gonna push it off the cliff.
Yep.
We're gonna start fresh. But there's like one little bit that dropped off when we were pushing it off the cliff, and it's that.
There's definitely some bleed over, but at the same time, when your previous examples of RPGs are basically second ed and 80s RPGs,
Yeah.
because you can give early D&D a lot of shit. I've also read 80s RPGs, and you can give them a lot of shit too.
Yeah. It wasn't just old D&D is bad by today's standards.
Yeah. Everyone was designing with basically old technology. Like, a lot of the newer ideas hadn't quite been invented, which is why these books are actually fairly important for ongoing RPG design, because they cleaned out a lot of old stuff.
I would say there are two aspects of it. A, they're working with older technology, so to speak. And B, they weren't as mainstream, and the more mainstream you get, the more you need to make your rules not just apply to your small group of people who play your game.
Yeah. Because this edition started to get away from making rules that were built around grognards, who play war games and parse.
You're getting to the point where the general populace will play D&D. It's not just those 5 people who invented the fucking game.
Yeah.
Anymore. Your rules need to be more universal and simpler.
Yeah. 3.5 was more around the era of general like war gamers and board gamers, the people you'd find in a hobby store. More and less just the like old school map and shit war game players.
Yep.
Okay, finally moving on to this.
Wait. No, just kidding.
Hold on, I want to pick details that are unimportant again. Go back one.
Anyways.
Moving on. It also starts with explaining even more movement, which, if you know what I'm getting at, or if Shiv knows what I'm getting at, this is literally probably the worst part of the movement of the game.
Yep.
So here's flying.
Counterbalance, here's flying, which had maneuverability levels.
Yeah, it sure did have maneuverability levels. So 3.5 in a lot of areas is overbuilt, and this is a prime example of how. Not only are there maneuverability levels, there's 5 maneuverability levels. And you can see this.
Which determine things like how far you have to move each round, whether you can move backwards, how much extra movement it takes to turn, can you stay in place. As you see, they're up angle, down angles, up speed, down speed. It's just it's unneeded.
Yeah. Especially since flying does happen after a while in combat. It is usually the wizard who casts fly, and he's just too high for the melee to hit, and we're done with it.
Right. And so, like, wizard level flies like a level 2 spell. Wizard can fly at level 3.
Yeah.
You're typically not going to be using a spell slot on fly at level 3, but at a certain point, you're not doing anything else those level 2 slots. So.
Yep.
That and Scorching Ray.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically fly and Scorching Ray because Scorching Ray scales well.
Yep.
What did Ray ever do to get scorched?
He knows what he did.
Yeah, they made this a lot simpler in 5th, where it's if you fly, you just have a movement speed in the air, and if you have the hover ability, you don't eat shit if you get knocked prone.
Yep. Everyone's a beholder except the downspeed part.
Yep.
Which, yeah, fine, get rid of the downspeed part as well. That's it's like throw this entire page out.
Also, why is there a downspeed one that's double across the fucking board?
I don't know. Just so you extra know, downspeed is double.
I guess we put upspeed in there, so we need to put downspeed in as well.
All right.
Angle. It's so much.
Hey, you know how your players?
Hey, the bonus is type.
Yeah, hey, you know how your players have like this character sheet where they want to add up all their bonuses they have for everything? You should probably also tell them this really important rule that tells them how bonuses stack.
Probably kind of important.
Yeah. Now,
all of these stack.
Well, all these stack with each other. They don't stack with themselves, with some notable exceptions. Dodge stacks with itself, but it does go away if you're flat-footed. Enhancement bonus. Okay, sometimes you will have an enhancement bonus to your armored or shield bonus. This is different than an enhancement bonus to your AC, and you could have all 3 of those.
Yep.
Because we wanted to use enhancement bonus more than we needed to.
Correct. An enhancement bonus to your AC is typically a bonus on your armor, and increases the actual armor value, field value, not enhancement bonus as its own subtype on it. Also, there's untyped bonuses, which they don't cover here, but all untyped bonuses stack with each other.
Yep. Circumstance also stacks. Those are technically things that are supposed to be given out by the DM as bonuses or penalties for
size bonuses stack, if I remember correctly. It doesn't state it, but size bonuses do. There's a whole table of all the bonuses you get for stacking for changing size somewhere.
Yep.
I think so.
Might be in the monster manual.
Entirely possible it's in the monster manual. But yeah. Also, the line of sight rules start here. Shiv, can you explain the line of sight rules?
Line of sight rules aren't that complicated.
No, they're not, but I know you know them.
You pick a corner of a grid. You then draw a line from that corner of a grid to all the other corners of the grid you're aiming at. And provided that line doesn't pass through anything, none of your line of sight is blocked. This does allow you to do weird things like kind of shoot along walls. If you're like at an intersection, you can basically be still in the intersection and shoot along a wall. Line of sight also applies to melee combat if you have ranged weapons. I got really good at line of sight because line of sight was used for the D&D miniatures game.
Yeah. Hence why I figured the easiest way to read through this section was just to ask you what the hell the rules were.
Yeah. Line of sight pretty simple. One corner to another corner. As long as you don't have as long as your line isn't broken by anything to all four corners, the target doesn't cover.
Okay. That makes a reasonable amount of sense. I don't think they explained it well in this paragraph that was here. Or two. No, not really. But yeah, they would have to actually like refine that for the D&D's minis game, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Right, so back to DM advice here. How to improvise and some bad examples. Most notably, a monk wants to jump up, grab a chandelier, swing onto an enemy. For some reason, you make him make a DC 13 Dex check to do this, and not just saying, "Yeah, go for it." He convinces you to stop being a moron and let him use the tumble skill, and say, "Okay, it counts as a charge, sure."
I'm going to reference another D&D thing here for a moment. For Dimension 20. So in the very first Dimension 20 campaign they do, 2 characters die in their very first combat because they keep trying to jump on top of a table.
Amazing.
They waste like jumping on top of a table, botching the roll, and eating shit. 2 characters basically die because of the amount of fucking foolery they do trying to constantly jump on top of a table. But they didn't need to. They could have easily gone around at any point during the fight. That's what this nonsense is trying to cover. Swinging across chandeliers and that kind of thing. Just let your players do it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not something like absolutely absurd. Like either let your players do it if it's not anything overly absurd, or if they do want to do overly absurd and only, I want to do some really overly flashy thing. Okay, make a check for it for a bonus, but you are going to eat shit if you fail.
Yeah, don't be overly punishing on someone who's trying to do something cool.
But like, unless that's a level 1 monk, if he wants to jump, grab on a chandelier, swing, and kick a dude, yeah, fucking let him. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. That grabbing on a chandelier is pretty much literally flavor text of that one.
Yep. Like, as long as they're not trying to do something their character couldn't reasonably do. Like, you're not trying to swing across the chandelier to launch yourself across a gap you couldn't normally cover with a jump. Sure, make them do a check or something at that point. But otherwise, yeah, just let them say they do, whatever fun shit they want to do.
Yeah. Also on this page is the start of one of the things that actually did inherit from previous editions, especially second edition, that is great. Variants. Like, literally just house rules we write in. I mean, these are two terrible ones, but
automatic hits and misses. I was less worried, but that one's the fucking defense roll at the bottom because we really needed to make AC more complicated and add an extra die roll into the game every time something attacked.
What, you don't want combat to take even longer?
No.
The automatic hits and misses isn't actually that terrible. It's just basically like a 1 is a minus 10.
Like a minus 10 and a 20 is a plus 10.
Yeah.
And then basically being like, if rolling a 1 or if having a minus 10 would still hit the thing anyways, you don't roll, you just hit, you can fail.
Yeah. You roll to see if you crit, basically.
Similarly, if your AC is just so high that whatever your base bonus is with a 30, you can't hit it. You just can't.
Yeah. Which,
Like,
you're attacking something epic and are going to die in a quick moment anyway, so don't worry about it.
That's mostly the like the weird theory crafting stuff of like, yeah, if I give 1,000, commoners a crossbow and have them shoot a dragon, 1 in every 20 will hit. So blah 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 blah. It's like, no, the commoners can't hurt a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
I don't care what the rules say. If a ancient dragon shows up, no amount of commoners is stopping this.
Let's see. And the next page, which is more variant rules. These ones actually reminded me, we forgot to talk about massive damage.
We did.
Yeah. Mostly because...
You know why? No one gives a shit about massive damage.
Yep.
So here's the massive damage rule. If you take 50 or more damage, your DM can make you make a fortitude save of DC 15 or die. And then you stare at the DM menacingly as possible and refuse to roll the die until he gets rid of the damn massive damage roll.
Well, the thing is, like,
I
massive
had
damage
lost a character to that shit.
Massive damage basically doesn't exist at lower levels, and depending what you're fighting at higher levels is, do you just
Every
want to
turn.
make your characters make a save every turn?
Yep, it's every turn.
Because even if they have a high enough fortitude save, a 1 still fails.
Yep.
So
It's
they have
still a save.
So you have a 5% chance of dying pretty much every time you get hit.
Uh-huh.
But yes, this variant... massive damage based on size, so if you're using this terrible roll, and anyone decides to run a small character, you get extra punished.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clawbird, which is just getting punished for losing half your health in one shot, isn't needed.
No. Damage to specific areas, why? Just no.
We don't need to track more stuff about that, especially when I also look in there and just see, like, removes a point of damage each or a point of penalty. It's like, no, stop. Please stop making you have to track damage to multiple parts on a player. Healing on a daily basis. Weapon equivalencies is who cares.
Who cares? It's
not,
fine.
It's not bad. It's just who cares.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine, but it's yeah.
It's like a small dagger is a short sword. A medium dagger is a short sword to a small person. Whatever.
Yeah.
Rationalize that however you want.
Let's see. My
Table
only
DCs.
Yep. My only notes for this page was super happy fun table. It's not quite as fun as the epic one, but yeah, just
no. It doesn't have fit into a thing smaller than your head or steal someone's clothes or steal pants off someone who is wearing.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, giving you examples of what a DC should be for what type of check. And
what a DC is, and roughly what you would expect to be able to do that.
Yeah. Which is where this edition actually has a very, very loose and fast type of bounded accuracy, for lack of a better term, when it comes to skill checks and nothing else.
Yeah, it's a case like you should expect a character in this level who is typically investing in the things they would invest in to be able to do X.
Yeah.
Assuming the fighter puts his points into XYZ every time. Obviously, something that's like melee attack. Yeah, that goes up all the time. But like sense motive, you can expect a wizard or a rogue who has mid-level rogue who has sense motive to notice something's wrong with their friend under vampire's mind control at DC 25. They just have enough points to do that. And it's not always the case. They could put no points in sense motive. They wouldn't notice shit. But if they're doing these things typically, this is what you can expect.
Yeah. It also kind of lets the
Hrothgar,
players...
you're
Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
No. It also kind of...
Hrothgar, you're acting weird. Blah. Blah.
I think it's a Dracula.
But yeah. It also kind of lets the players know that, like, at a certain point, yeah, you probably have enough of skill.
Yeah.
Or power game this enough.
For the most part, like these, like for the ones that are here on their actual skills, they are typically going to cap out at a certain.
Yeah.
They're either capping out at a certain point. Your DM's asking you to roll 20, no matter how many points you have.
Yeah. There's also the straight stat checks, which
are very rare at the very least. The most common one is a straight strength check, usually to just break.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, something else we forgot to talk about: degrees of success and degrees of failure, because that's very much a thing in this edition. I bring that up mostly because technically, rules as written in 5th edition, there aren't degrees of success or degrees of failure, except yes, there fucking are. You're rolling a d20, it produces a number.
There aren't any by the book, but
there aren't any by the book, but you're going to be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't just instinctually do that.
I mean, if you've DM'd for a while, it's pretty natural to you. I can see new DMs not doing it. It's going to either pass or succeed or pass or fail, but other DMs be like, okay, this is like a DC 15. You rolled a 25. I'll give you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard stuff, and even new DMs, it's like a bigger number equal better is just kind of an instinctual thing. So
yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Degrees of failure also.
Yeah.
Punish you more for rolling less.
Punish you more specifically for trying to do things you have no business doing. Like, you're the non-dexterous fighter and you're trying to pick this lock.
Well, yeah,
surprisingly,
yeah, we didn't bring a rogue because God, why would we?
We didn't bring a rogue, and for some reason the wizard didn't memorize knock, which will just open the fucking door.
Have rogue on stick.
Look, the wizard we brought with us instead of a rogue with knock already used all of his knocks. Our other wizard didn't prepare it. Do we have 2 wizards? Yes, we also don't have a fighter. That's a wizard too.
If only we had more knockers.
It's a cleric and 3 wizard.
You generally need a druid in there somewhere, but
Yeah, you can take a druid. A druid can replace cleric, or you can do druid cleric. I guess if we're doing no fighters, druid cleric wizard would be perfectly fine.
Yeah. There you go.
It's just a race to see who wants to invalidate the fight first.
Yeah, pretty much. And the druid has the added bonus of at least you have a consistent source of DPS.
Yeah, I mean you can do melee cleric. You can do cleric who wants to slum it with the fighters.
Yeah, wizards, no sense of right, wrong, or game balance.
Especially not game balance. Ah, the XP tables.
Yep. I mean, pretty simple stuff. You beat monsters, you get XP. You need a certain amount of XP to level up.
Yeah.
Monsters stop giving you XP at a certain point when you're actually monsters don't give you XP if they're a certain high challenge rating or you're a certain level.
Once you're high enough, like a level 9 character will not get experience from CR1 monsters anymore.
Yeah, I just find the reverse of that stupid. If a group of 3rd level characters somehow defeat a CR11 counter,
the thing is
I don't see why you don't give them XP.
A group of 3rd level characters
that's not what that's saying.
That is technically what it doesn't support that because the party shouldn't be taking that on.
Yeah, this is you should pause for a minute and look at what the fuck's going on.
There's no reasonable way in which a third level party beats the 8 CR13. Like some degree of shenaniganry were involved, and the XP table can't really cover for that.
Yeah, me and Shiv are pretty practiced power gamers. I can't fucking... Okay, I can see one instance that's only if the CR11 was a severe overcon, which is the actual entire problem with the system is CRs are very loose and fast.
Yes, they are.
Well, there's so many things, and even within basebook. But yeah, there is a certain level of look at this and like, is this actually a CR whatever?
Yeah. Like, a great deal of CRs are actually overcons. There's one very notable, very big, breathes various elements exception when it comes to that, however.
It's because dragons are pretty much always undercons.
Yeah, dragons were almost always undercons, even when you just run them straight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially the high-level dragons, which are effectively, here's a big, giant, smart beat stick, or smart, tough beat stick, who also just has like a level 15 sorcerer bolted on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we decided that can also cast clerics. Have fun.
Yep. Alright. Character death and making a new character. Because, if someone's bored with their character or bad dice rolls kill them, remember, make them lose a level. Kick them in the direct while they're down.
Yep.
I would...
Look, if their character was better built, they wouldn't have died to that ×4 crit. Sorry.
You want to know what sometimes you have an inexperienced DM do because they're really not sure how to handle that? Oh, your party doesn't have the ability to bring your character back, so make a new character who is also a level lower than your previous character was.
That is literally the advice in this book.
Yep, you need to take your
God damn it!
Yeah, that wasn't me just making fun of the resurrection spells, which also give you reduce your level by 1 in 3.5. That is literally the advice of, oh yeah, if they died, they need to make them a new character for every reason. Remember, -1 level. It's like, okay, that's actually a fine thing to do if you have someone who's just changing their character too often and you want them to stop. That's about it.
Yeah, if you're using it as a punitive measure to be like, please just settle on a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's understandable. Yeah.
But not as a like, you died, time to punish you. Like, especially if it's something that you died completely out of your hands. Like, you're just on a regular adventure and you got killed in a fight. That happens. That's not any reason to punish the fucking player for.
No. D&D
Hunter, you've lost 8 characters in this campaign. Yeah, I know. It's because I'm still level 1 while everyone else is level 7.
Technically speaking, you bring in like new characters a level below the party, so.
Oh no, it was specifically a level below your the character that just died. That was how he did it.
Oh no, it does say player's previous PC in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Fair enough.
Gotta survive an encounter to get a level.
Yeah.
Only took a couple of years to figure out how dumb that was.
Yeah, in general, penalizing people levels in... Basically, this is one of the dumbest things you could do on the board game side of it. The game is just randomly fatal. Like, characters will die even in this edition. It's not quite as bad as it could be in, like, previous editions of D&D, where a character starts with a d6 hit points, and yes, you rolled them, and all weapons did a d6 damage.
Yep.
Sometimes you just fail a fortitude save. It's like, you have a 5% chance of sometimes just guaranteed you failed that save.
Sometimes you do get shunted to another dimension or to another plane through a cheese whiz.
Sometimes something just hits you for the combined total of all of your hit points plus 10.
Sometimes you're level 1, you're fighting an orc, and they have a fucking falchion.
Yeah. There are a ton of ways you could just die.
The game designers hate level 1 characters.
Yeah. Don't punish your players anymore for it.
Sometimes you're fighting Cyclopses who can once a day just treat any roll they made as a natural 20
weapon.
And have a ×3 weapon.
Yeah, that's standard ability Cyclops have.
Yeah. Let's see. Adventure design. Complete with more rolls than you'll ever actually use. Again, this edition is very overbuilt. Yep. But yeah, chapter on adventure design, general advice, which is, okay-ish, but again, this kind of falls under the same purview of, as a DM, know your audience.
I mean, this is at least fine. Like, this is decent enough information if you've never DM'd.
Yeah. It's a starting point at the very least.
Once you have DM'd, you'll already be picking this, basically.
Yeah.
I am back.
Welcome back. Let's see. Recommend encounters by challenge rating, which again would mean something if challenge rating was a very loose and fast thing, but at the very least it's here's a general idea of how to put stuff together, which is, again, good new DM advice while they're still filling out the game and trying to figure out, like, okay, what should I actually throw against this party? Because if anything, this will probably actually be, this will probably be somewhere on the easier side for the most part. looking at.
For the most part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of single enemy fights are almost always terrible ideas. Not for the party, for the players, or for the DM. No monster is really designed, sort of like dragons,
Yeah,
who are
dragons are
severe
designed to fight.
underdogs,
But yeah.
are designed to fight parties. 90% of your monsters that you send one of them at an appropriate challenge rating is just going to be exploded in a turn or two.
Yeah, they generally have enough hit points to survive one round of the party attacking, which means they might get in one turn before they just die.
Yep.
And unless they're designed to be particularly dangerous, they're not going to do too much of the party. And if they are designed to be particularly dangerous, that's a problem too. So it's like it's a no-win situation on that one.
If they are designed to be that scary to a party in one round of combat, then what happens? The party wins, and you have to go to 2 or 3 rounds of combat with something that can one-shot people, presumably. Yeah.
Treasure. Yep. Random treasure. Hypothetically, almost a bad idea. It makes it kind of hard to dictate exactly how much they're supposed to have at exactly what level, but you don't really look that closely at it.
Some amount of money, some amount of if you're even bothering to follow these tables at all. Technically, all the monsters have a treasure section on their stat block.
Yeah.
Which gives you a rough idea of what kind of treasure should they have. Do they have goods? They have coins? They have items? What level of treasure do they have? Because the treasure level doesn't necessarily match up to the challenge rating of things. Like dragons, for instance, have piles of treasure because typically when you're fighting dragons, for some reason they always include the horde, whether or not you'd actually be fighting a dragon.
Yeah.
These are bandits. They have level 1 treasury, CR2 or CR3, etc. Stuff like that.
Yeah. And something we didn't explicitly mention, but is kind of implied by the name. Encounter just means encountering the thing. It doesn't necessarily mean killing it. It almost always involves killing it anyways, because players are murder hobos, but with few exceptions.
Yep.
And, I don't know, you try negotiating with, a bubbling pile of muck that is trying to dissolve your shoes.
No one can say I didn't try. Stab, stab, stab.
This
random encounter tables.
Random encounter tables. This table is so bad that it wraps around being good. Mostly just because it's kind of hilarious. One, why in the ever-loving fuck is any level a D3 of anything? That is so variable in difficulty.
Good or funny?
Look, I like the level 5 dungeon encounter of D3 were rats and 2D4 dire rats, ranging anywhere from 3 to 11 combatants.
That second one crap is as much as it is that first one.
There you go.
It can be good in the sense that if a DM that actually knows what he's doing can roll on this table and just figure out what the fuck is going to happen. But the part that's most hilarious, however, is the 91 through 100 and on everything
table.
It goes up a table, and the 1 through 10 it goes down a table.
Oh no!
I think a sane DM would look at these, and if they're actually using these, which I mean, sometimes you just want to throw something at your party and don't want to think too hard about it. If you roll one of the results that has a thing like D3, D3 plus 1 ghouls, a level 4 encounter table, just do 3 ghouls.
Yeah.
Average the die. Average the die, and then adjust as necessary for the party. If the party's doing a good job of wiping out things with that thing, make it 4 ghouls rather than 3 ghouls. If they're struggling, make it 2 ghouls.
Or make it.
I view the D4 more as a D3, D4, etc. more as a use your fucking brain.
Also, there's stuff on this table where okay, why is there one were-rat on this table?
Which one?
It's on the second level table.
Oh,
there's one were-rat.
Representation from the were-rat union.
I mean, where things have like DR5s that actually could
10.
be a pain. A 10? That's why.
Yeah, don't throw a were-rat against your party at level 2.
Because like a two-hand, like a strength-based fighter could do enough damage with two-hand swing to get through that, like greatsword or something. But God, that's not going to be a fun fight.
No.
Actually, it's going to be getting magic missile to death, probably.
Most likely, the best case scenario is to get this magic missile to death because DR doesn't apply to spells.
Yep.
Yeah, let me double check that. Yeah, no, 10. 10. It is 10. Unless they're in human form, they don't have DR. But, like, yeah, 10 silver.
The earliest dragon is level 3, and it's a good dragon.
Well, that's fine. You roll that. They talk with the dragon for a bit, and then they leave. I mean,
Well, that's infinitely better than a bad dragon.
Looks like level 4 has the first evil dragon on it. Has young white.
Thank you, Hunter.
which is odd because I think young brass. Okay, so if we're going by sheer stats, I think young brass is actually on par or better than white.
Oh, I'm pretty sure
You're just not going to fight it. That's the
whites
thing.
are literally the weakest of all the dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna fight a brass dragon unless you're really, and it's a wormling. It's a wormling brass dragon on level 3 table compared to a young white dragon.
Yeah.
Level 4 table. Yeah, I don't see a wormling evil dragon tables. And yeah, you're more likely to talk with a brass dragon and not fight it unless you're an asshole.
Yeah. Especially a wormling, because that's basically a child.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's a child that's intelligent as a person, but it's still a fucking child.
Yeah. Traps.
You got any games in your grimoire?
Oh god, traps.
Most boring traps you will ever see.
Keep going. Next pages. Why are there so many pages of traps?
There's fucking way too many pages of traps. Like, this is literally here for me to complain about, because not only are there so many pages of traps, none of this is interesting. It's like, here's a CR, here's a difficulty. Okay, that was fun.
Here's the check. Need to get past it. Moving on.
Yeah. I especially love, like, here's a magical trap. The search difficulty is 26 for your level 2 magical trap. Yeah, because the rogue is so going to fucking make that.
Yep.
The wilderness
encounter table. A wilderness encounter list. Not
list.
Table.
Yeah, no, they don't get a table. They don't get to have fun. I mean, it's fine in and of itself for, I guess, kind of trying to keep things in flavor with where you are, but
yeah, it's used to be like, okay, we're in the mountains. Let me go check the mountain table and find something of appropriate level for them, or appropriate CR range for them.
Yeah, saying them, it gives you an idea of what to throw at them in an area. This is actually fairly
this
useful
is actually perfect
table.
fun.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not as fun as the random encounter table.
No, it's not as fun as the random table. Random encounter tables are always fun.
Yes. They're not balanced in the goddamn least, but that's the DM's job to kind of fix.
It's the DM's job to roll the table. Go, no, I'm not making the party fight like a Hydra. They're level 4.
So apparently NPCs needed an entire chapter in this book.
Weren't we level 2 when that was something we could have ran into?
I joked about making you guys fight a Hydra. That there was one in the swamp. You guys didn't. I don't know if Hydra's on this table. They're talking about the D&D campaign.
Yeah. But yeah, this NPC this NPC chapter, which, God, this could have just been covered in a few paragraphs mostly. Let's see. Oh, there we have the leadership feat in this chapter.
Yes, it is.
So if you want to know what the leadership feat actually does, here you go.
Yeah. You have a leadership score. It's based on your level plus your charisma.
Yep.
Certain things can increase it. So you get certain extra bonuses. Or penalties.
You get certain extra bonuses. You can get penalties for being a dick, basically. So basically you have one cohort who can be up to 2 levels lower than yourself. And depending on how high your skill is, you can also have some followers.
Yep.
The followers don't really go to that high a level, so they're not really for going out and adventuring with you, obviously, unless you need like people to carry stuff. After a while, you generally have a bag of holding, so it's not really an issue.
The followers are almost always used for more of a like flavor thing of like, oh, we have a base somewhere,
Yeah.
and the followers are the people who work for you at that base. Your supporters at that base. Whereas the cohort would be, hey, we gave you a character 2 levels lower than you follow you around.
Yeah. And all the followers are NPC classes. Speaking of which, NPC classes.
NPC classes.
Yep. Which mostly exists for leadership feat, and occasionally, I guess you want to have someone who is not a fully trained adventurer, or just use a lower level of an adventurer class. You could have just done that.
Yeah, but most of the time, regular NPCs, you're really only gonna see 3 that are ever really used. Actually, really 2 off the top of my head that are ever really used. Uh, Commoner is used all the time for generic NPCs. It's just a
Yeah.
person. And then Warrior.
Yeah. Warrior, which is fighter without the bonus feat.
Which is fighter without the bonus. There is Aristocrat. It exists. It just has a medium base attack bonus and a goodwill save. Expert's at least interesting that it gets a pile of skills.
Yeah, it gets a pile of skills, and you choose 10 skills. That's just its class skills.
Yeah, so it basically is like if you want to make a skill NPC for the party, use expert. It gets decent skill points, 6+N, and whatever skills you want.
Yeah.
Adept is a bad wizard.
Adept is literally a half level.
It's like a bad wizard / cleric.
Yeah, it's a half level caster basically.
Yeah, well, it's a half level caster and has a bad. Actually, it's a 5 level caster, not a 6 level caster.
Well, 6 would be 2/3. It's actually half rounded up as opposed to half rounded down. But that's
it's a dust. No, dust blades are 4, weren't they?
No, dust blades are 5.
Dust blades are 5. Yeah, it's a 5.
They're 5, but they also get a shit ton of spells.
There are so few half 5 level casters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're never actually going to see an adept. Anytime an enemy is going to be a caster, they're going to be an actual class. I have never run an NPC adept to fight the party. I don't know of anyone who ever has run an NPC adept to fight the party. If they really want to spell caster, those gives them an actual. Give the only orders.
Does it gets baleful polymorph?
Huh. Yeah, because it's a weird. It gets some high level stuff in its level 5 slot.
No, that's actually a level 5 spell.
High.
Yeah, it's a level 5 spell. I looked it up just to make sure. But
actually, it's all of its spell levels are what they should be. Lightning bolts at 3, cure criticals at 4. It has regular spell levels.
Yeah. No, heal and raise are 6.
Okay, heal and raise are 6. It gets some slightly changed levels, but like I said, you're never going to see a level 20, like a level 15 adept, 16 adept when they get those spells.
16, yeah.
16, assuming they have high enough stat,
which is a big assumption, actually.
Which is a big assumption because they would need a 20.
Yeah.
Which they're an NPC; they're not guaranteed to have that.
No, they aren't.
Like I can't think of a single time they ever bothered with an adept or an aristocrat. Commoners you see all the time because they're most people. Experts are anyone who's like a trade person, typically an expert. And then warriors are soldiers, generic fighter types.
And as far as like a followers for your leadership feat, you might have an adept, or you might have some adepts, especially.
You might have some adepts specifically for leadership if you like.
Yeah.
Casters for, we are clerics following us or something, but not actual cleric.
Yeah, especially if your party is light on healing, because I don't think we actually went over healing in this edition, which
it's
is
slow as shit.
It is.
It's slow as shit.
Yes, you get your level and HP back a day. That's it.
Yeah, so if you had some followers, you could have some adepts who are there to heal you when you know.
Yeah. Now, granted, it takes a while to actually even get like. No, it's not that high. A leadership score of 10 will get you like 5 adepts following you around casting. Let's see, they'd have an elite array. 2 cure light wounds a day each. So they got 10 cure light wounds going there.
Yeah, but they're not going to be following you around because they actually follow you around. They're just going to die. And if your followers and stuff die, you take penalties on your score.
No, only the cohort.
Is it cohort only?
Yeah, it's only the cohort. Now, if you're being particularly cruel or something, that might be an issue, but... In any case, enough, I'd say, gaming the system, but that's really just trying to fix it with duct tape
Yeah.
and super glue.
Campaign.
Campaigns, but I mean, it's world building. It's just fucking world building.
It is adaptive world building. You realistically, you're gonna figure out how to run a campaign yourself, DM. Figure it out.
Yeah. This is not
Starting
something
with-
this is not something a
Yeah.
starting DM should be doing. Fine.
First running your first campaign, pre-mades are fine. You can
Yeah.
run a pre-made until you got an idea of what you want to run yourself.
Yeah.
Get an idea of how the game works under your feet first.
And again, this chapter is generally overbuilt with a bunch of tables and such, but you can pull them apart if you actually know what you're doing and put stuff together. Also, completely unrelated but incredibly important. Here's the character wealth by level table.
Yep. Here's the character wealth by level table.
It appears nowhere else.
Yeah, in the campaign section. That makes sense.
Yeah. It should be noted, after you've played 3.5 like a couple times or so, almost no one ever wants to start again at level 1. And it is very common for people to run campaigns above level 1. This table is incredibly fucking important. We memorized the page this was on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like this is incredibly important for starting. Like even later big campaigns that I ran didn't start level 1 because level 1 and 3.5 is boring as shit.
Yeah. Everyone has practically no hit points, and
like level 2, actually in 3.5 you don't really have to build until 5.
You at least have an interesting enough character once you get to like 3 or 4. But yeah, you're more built out at 5, and prestige classes generally start at 6.
Which when you start getting actual features.
Yeah.
Fifth edition is nice for that, where you could reasonably start most campaigns at like 3, because that's when you get your first subclass. You get your first subclass ability. Every class.
Well, in 5th, level 1 and 2 are basically the tutorial levels that are meant for new players. 3 is actually where the game is kind of meant to start. Oh yes, the rest of the weapons.
The Asian weapons and Renaissance weapons.
Modern era weapons, and this falls apart very
There's
fast.
a future weapon there for some reason.
Okay, the Asian weapons almost always just kind of get thrown in to campaigns.
Some people want to use katanas.
Yeah, also katana is a bastard sword. It is literally just straight away a bastard sword.
It is the exact same style as a bastard sword. That is correct.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. No. Where's its text?
Give me a second. It is on a previous Asian weapons. Yeah, it's on a previous page that I didn't load in here.
Okay.
Katana, while functionally a bastard sword, the sword is most masterfully made non-magical weapon in existence. It counts as a masterwork weapon. Okay, so it's just automatically a masterwork weapon.
It's always a masterwork. Also, weebish shit.
Yes.
Look, it's not quite a bastard sword. It knows its father, so it's more like an
No,
equivalent.
I just love that
sword.
even the description is like, this is the most masterful weapon ever crafted.
yeah.
It's like, chill the fuck out.
It is equivalent to the daddy issues sword, which is 2d6 damage when thrown, but doesn't return to you for 10 years. The description claims it'll return. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
But yeah, anything past the Asian...
going out for Milkblade.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing past like the Asian weapons I don't think we ever used precisely because range was already fine. I don't think any of these work for range combat all that well, with the exception of the futuristic weapons, which is just no.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason to give your party a fucking antimatter rifle or a laser rifle. Like, if you want to run an actual future-based game, these 4 weapon profiles you're gonna want more than just this.
You're gonna want more than just this, and you're probably also going to want to tone it the fuck down. And also, why are you doing this in D&D?
Also, find a different system. Find
a system that actually works.
Yes, D20 Modern and D20 Future exist. Find another fucking system.
Yeah, don't use those either. They're terrible.
Look forward to when I do one of these streams, but I do it on Shadowrun.
I was gonna
Old school
say
Shadowrun.
I have
a lot of D6. I'm good.
Yeah.
I have experienced D20 Modern. I tried running a Resident Evil campaign until someone rolled a Dex hero style and decided to just drop grenades at their feet.
Why'd you let them have grenades?
They could probably just buy them.
I mean, you can, but
Well,
at a certain point, you tell your player, no, you don't just have infinite access to grenades or people in a ruined fucking town. Presumably in Resident Evil.
No, it was effectively Resident Evil 1, so they were the equivalent of stars, which meant they were effectively between police and military, which is why they had 2 grenades each.
That's 2 grenades each. They'll run out eventually.
Yeah, but getting surrounded by zombies and then dropping grenade at your feet and taking 0 damage because of evasion is really dumb.
So
That's evasion.
Yep.
Yeah.
No different than the rogue dodging a fireball.
But yeah, I'm not sure how I even feel about weapons in this edition in general. On the one hand, they at least made them distinguished from each other. On the other, okay, it still suffers from this edition's like innate lack of anything resembling the word balance. But that's a different matter entirely. But I'm not sure if like I kind of like the crit ranges, but the same. Okay, I kind of like the crit ranges more than the bigger multipliers. They're all kind of fine for the. They're all kind of fine on the player side, so when again the monster side that you start to feel like an ass.
Well, crits are always going to be worse. Crits, no matter what they are worse on the player side.
Yeah.
And the general purpose of you're going to throw a lot more attacks over time as the DM into players than players are going to throw into monsters.
Yeah. But on the other hand, a crit is fun, like objectively speaking.
Oh yeah, crits are great for party members. Yeah, I crit, did double damage, all sorts of fun stuff like that. It's not fun when the player gets crit for 3 times damage because the opponent's some guy running around with a great axe.
And at higher levels, that can kind of be okay, especially if it's on like a fighter or something that might be able to take it. It's a big ass hit. It can it can put more tension in the fight, but like there's no degrees when it comes to that, and sometimes it just it's sometimes it hits like I don't know the ranger over there, and he was not prepared.
Yeah.
And granted, this is also why crit negation becomes a kind of important thing when it comes to armor, but that's a different matter entirely. Also in this one is the D&D cosmology, the Great Wheel. Notable in this edition is the things that it doesn't have, as a matter of fact. There's a lack of any mentions of Sigil or the Demiplate of Dread, aka Planescape and Ravenloft.
Yep.
That's not the biggest deal per se if you already know about them, because you could just insert them back in, but that's a different matter entirely.
Yeah, 3.5 kind of split all the different D&D like realm concepts apart. So like Greyhawk is the base 3.5 D thing, but there's also Faerun, Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
Planescape is basically treated as kind of separate from everything else, even though it's kind of always been there.
Yeah. Well, the idea of Planescape is basically the city of Sigil and actually exploring the planes more proper, which is incredibly hard in 3.5 because they overbuild rules a lot. So sometimes it's like, oh, we need to go to the 9 Hells. We need to go to the 4th layer. Okay, well, I think we have 5 negative levels going there or something. It's
yeah,
the Dippin' Dots.
For every step your alignment is away from the alignment of the aligned planes, you take a level penalty, I believe.
And as you go deeper into plane, or well, as you go deeper into hell, it gets worse. I think Abyss is as bad, but it's still like, why is there just fucking random penalties on whatever plane you go to?
Because we want you to calculate your numbers again.
Of course, yeah.
You're playing this to calculate numbers, right?
So yeah, most campaigns just stick on the fucking material plane, and occasionally you go glance at the other ones, which is a goddamn shame because all of these planes are legitimately interesting and actually like a decent amount of well built.
And as you'll find, there'll be a lot of source books covering various things in the planes as we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to the lower planes, at the very least, you will see them a lot. Because DM gonna throw a demon or devil at you. It's just gonna fucking happen. The upper planes, they exist, and there's the middle ones, and they can, if you write them in the game, I guess. But, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're playing an evil campaign, it's not often your party is going to have a great reason to go to the higher planes.
Yeah.
One of your players raises a hand and looks at the thing. When are we going to Dominaria? That's Thursday, Steve. This is D&D night.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But yeah.
That depends. Is Urza active right now? Because if he is, I don't ever want to fucking go to Dominaria.
Oh. Urza's
Not that it'll stop him from coming here.
Yeah, Urza's a planeswalker. You're fucked anyways.
He's less likely to show up here if we don't go there first.
So yeah, to go over D&D cosmology, the very abridged version, you have the material plane, then you have the stuff next to the material plane, which is basically, literally you can just travel one for one straight away. It's like stepping into a shadow dimension right next to it.
Yeah.
Then you have
material and shadow plane. Technically, astral plane's adjacent to everything.
Yeah, the astral plane is basically the connector to everything, but it's just a space you float through. Right. And then there's the elemental planes and the outer planes, which very much that circle is more or less in aligned with the alignments, where the northwest is lawful good and the southeast is chaotic evil.
Yep.
And the planes are very closely aligned that way as well. Let's see. But yeah, we already talked about that's the ethereal plane. Ethereal plane, Fogbound mentioned right next to the material plane. No gravity per se. You can see what's happening in the material plane, but you can't interact with it. There's spells that go there basically.
Ghosts natively are on the ethereal plane.
Yeah. Plane of Shadow. This has been replaced in more recent editions by the Shadowfell, which is mostly functionally the same fucking thing.
The plane of shadow is coexistent with the material plane. The most interesting thing about the plane of shadow is that distances are shorter on it.
Yeah. So it is a way of traveling.
Yeah, there's a whole shadow walk spell that basically transitions you to the plane of shadow, then you travel the plane of shadow, then come back, and it's like 8 times travel distance along those lines.
Yeah, which is a nice compromise between teleporting and actually moving about. If, I don't know, you need to do that for plot reasons and have a active map, which you don't want to go against.
The plane of shadow is also a like rough reflection of whatever's on the material plane where you are.
Yeah, which is more or less about the same concept as the Shadowfell, just a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Also, the Shadowfell, I think, is actually adjacent to the Demiplane of Dread, which, notably, you do not want to go there. Period. Astral Plane we already talked about, but yeah, is the in-between. This is the way of basically hoofing it to other dimensions. You're almost never actually doing that. I can't recall a campaign where I've ever actually touched the astral plane. To be completely honest.
Usually, most campaigns are just going to go straight to another plane and not necessarily deal in the astral plane itself.
Question.
Yeah.
Is the astral plane where the Githyanki live?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Neverwinter Nights 2 deals with the astral plane.
Okay.
Granted, again, short trip. Most of it deals with the Githyanki coming here. Or when I say here, I mean to the normal corporeal.
Yeah, the Githyanki are from the.
Yeah, but Neverwinter Nights 2 does deal with it, and I believe Mask of the Betrayer touches on it.
I'm also sure there's adventure power, like pre-mates that deal with the astral plane a lot.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, probably, yeah. Let's see. The elemental planes. These are even more what they say on the tin than you would expect. The elemental plane of air
is made of air.
Is made of air, there are like islands where people can be on, but but mostly it is air. This is where all the air, elementals of insert air type here come from. The plane of Earth is almost the plane of Earth is almost entirely Earth, and by that I mean is literally dirt in every direction.
Yeah, like dirt, gemstones, ores, that kind of.
Yeah,
It's stone block.
the plane of fire is fire.
Strangely enough, plane of fire, not just fire though, unlike the other one.
The plane of fire, also known as California, is
There's actually like not super important for 3.5, but they have like example plane of X site things here, like the Great Dismal. The City of Brass is a very important thing. I want to say 4th edition.
Yes, in 4th edition, because that's basically where you bought the. That's basically where the highest end characters could actually go shopping.
Yeah, it was effectively the high end hub city.
Yeah, and of course the plane of water is entirely underwater.
Yep,
Glug.
It's probably ironically one of the easiest ones to move around in.
Yeah.
Water breathing is
as long as you have a means to breathe.
Yeah.
Supplemental follow-up question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard reference to the anti-planes of elemental such and such. Is that also a thing in the DM's book, or did that
So
come
there's
later?
not anti-plane. There is. They're covered in Planescape. Basically demi-planes, where the different elemental planes kind of touch each other. So you get things like the demi-plane of vacuum, the demi-plane of magma. Or earth and fire basically rub against each other, and that's the demi-plane of magma. Earth and water rub against each other, and you get the demi-plane of mud.
I think those are paralemental planes. I don't remember which term they use. The idea is the same, anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
So not like a base book.
Yeah, it's on the base DM.
3.5 thing, but there is definitely the various different elemental demi. Of like typically where the different elemental planes bump up against each other in respect to both of those.
Yeah.
Positive and negative energy planes.
Yep. So negative energy is how undead are made. The negative energy plane especially sucks because this is the plane of literally fucking hurt. Whereas the positive plane
also sucks.
Also sucks because this is the plane of healing. Even if you don't need it, it keeps going. By the way, you will explode after a while.
Yeah, the positive energy plane, which does just naturally heal you while you're there. If you're there too long without like actually taking damage, you just get overhealed and die. There's a pre-made campaign where one of the items is a ring that constantly cuts you every single round, just so you have something to heal. It's actually an interesting one that we'll probably reference in a later book because the most important NPC is a important NPC for an actual class later.
Yeah. So the energy plane of chaos.
Limbo.
This is the limbo. This is the chaotic plane and the home to the Slad, which we'll encounter later in the monster manual.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, just because. Okay, there's one major note I actually have on the Slad, but it's mostly completely for my own amusement. But yeah,
I mean, they are the chaos aligned monster type, but
yeah,
I can't think of a campaign that was heavily slant focused.
But yeah, this is one of the planes that I would, if you want to do literally fucking anything, this can be an amusing place to at least have someone go or send the party to briefly for I don't know whatever the fuck you want, because this plane is very much what it says on the tin. And contrary to that is the lawful neutral plane, the Clockwork Nirvana of Mechanus, which would be far more interesting in other editions, but not this one.
Because it doesn't have Modrons in it.
Yeah, for some reason, Modrons are absent from 3.5 and 4th edition, and this is a crime against nature, and therefore that person, whoever decided this, should be punished. Again, that's
they were
something we'll
relegated to the Planescape books.
That might be true.
I know they're in the Planescape books.
They're definitely in the Planescape books. They're probably. I almost certainly think they predate them, but
No, I'm sure they do predate them. It's just where they ended up for all the 3-5 type stuff.
Yeah.
Like they did a pretty heavy like kind of splitting
they're just
of
not
the
in
various.
they're not in 3.0 or 3.5 at all. Modrons were scrubbed from this edition for some reason, and they did not come back in 4th edition. They don't make an appearance until 5th. I actually looked all this up on the internet because I was curious. Wait, Modrons exist. Where the fuck are they? And it's like, oh, right, they didn't exist here. But yeah, they never made it into... They made it into, like... they made it into a few mentions in supplemental 3.5 material, which is hardly basically anything. Like, I think there was a grand march of the Modrons through the plains going on or something weird like that. But again, it was, like, in supplemental material mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Clockwork of Auto Mechanus itself is actually a neat as hell plane for a law plane. It is a giant clockwork thing that just kind of keeps running.
It's where the Inevitables are from.
Yeah, it is also where the Inevitables are from. Okay, now now the planes that are more relevant probably to any NPCs or APCs, mostly because you're going to be fighting their denizens. The Infinite Layers of the Abyss. There are 666 of these. Technically there's more, but there are only 666 of them are accessible.
Demons.
Demons.
Demon.
Demons are your premier chaotic evil enemies. They are very much they're very much stereotypes of that.
Yep.
They are here to break. They are here to evil. They are fighting. One of the more notable things in the D&D cosmology is they are constantly fighting the blood war with the devils. The demons are infinite in number, literally. Whenever you kill a demon, that's great. It just comes back. If you permanently kill a demon, that's great. There's infinite numbers of them behind that one.
And if they weren't chaotic and unorganized, the devils would be fucked.
Yes. The reason why the devils don't lose the blood war is the demons fight themselves always, at all fucking times. The only way for a demon to be on top of another demon is to be powerful enough for it to not want to fuck with it.
There are demons like that.
There are absolutely demons like that. Let's see. Between Hell and the Abyss are other planes, which are the battlefields for the Blood War. The Tartarian Depths of Carcerai is not one of them. That is the prison plane, which is interesting in and of itself. And actually, again, if planes were more of a thing you could travel to, this is actually kind of an interesting setting for, like, whatever. Like, hey, we gotta go rescue someone who's been imprisoned in the outer planes. Okay, let's go to Carcerai.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a Grey Waste of Hades, which is literally the suck. This is the plane of clinical depression. Also it is like one of the major battlegrounds in the Blood War, and that's more interesting than what's going on in the entire time. This is the pure evil plane, and it literally supernaturally depresses everyone in it. Do not go there. It is actually worse than Hell or the Abyss.
Yeah. Like, you won't like being in Hell or the Abyss, but you won't just be, like, naturally, just have your will crushed out of you like it would be just exist in a great way.
Yeah. The Bleak Eternity of Gehenna, a plane designed by a total fucking asshole. Most notably, no naturally occurring level place exists on this plane. All slopes are at least 45 degrees. This is an entire plane that is at an angle when it comes to all ground surfaces. If you level out any part of this plane, it will eventually just erode and become at least a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And of course, the Nine Hells of Barator, the primary lawful evil plane. This is where devils live. Devils love to make deals.
Depends on the devil.
It depends on the devil, but the positive thing of encountering a devil is you can negotiate. The negative thing of encountering a devil is you can negotiate.
Yeah, at least with demons it's straightforward. It's kill or be killed.
Yeah.
You can talk to a devil. It's not a good idea.
Okay. On to the
More
character
stuff
section.
on character. Oh, it's points by. Points by.
Yep. That's more. Again, yeah, I have a slide that is straight up a zoom of that. But yes, the characters chapter, and more specifically, the alternate ways of getting characters. And this is the first point by, and it's almost good. It is actually just almost good. The major, the major issue, not really from a player standpoint, but from a designer standpoint, is everything up to 14 costs 1 point, including 14. Then 15 and 16 both cost 2 points, and then 17 and 18 costs 3 points.
3. Yep.
Any later point buys, the points jump is done at the even number, not the odd number.
Correct. The odd number doesn't matter.
Yeah, the odd number in DD does not matter at all. So it will be like 1 point going all the way up to like 13, and then it will be like 2 for 14 and 15,
14,
etc.
15, 16, 17.
I also question the points by numbers, and also you could actually, where it says campaign right there, you could almost also do that by like, what is the character actually trying to run? Like, you could give the high-powered campaign stat line to anyone trying to actually make Monk work, for example, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean the point buy should work out to the elite array. You should be able to build the elite array with, I believe, the challenge point.
Yeah, with the middle one.
Yeah,
or with either way. Probably. Let's see. 8, 6, 5.
I think it's challenge. Pathfinder's base is 25 points, not 22, but they also do point ups on the even levels, not odds.
Yeah, the positive thing of point buy is in this system where stats are very mechanically important, it keeps players
allows you to guarantee you have the stats you want.
It allows you to guarantee that you have the stats you want, and realistically keeps players from, I don't know, rolling like 15 fucking times behind the DM's back and finding whatever the best roll is, or just making it up. Various little things like that.
You make your players roll in front of you because they can't be trusted.
Exactly.
Much like Eagles.
Alternatively, you can hand them the elite array, and they'll also probably look at you funny. It's like, fine, we'll make spellcasters if you really want us to. Various other ways of rolling, floating rerolls, organic, customizing average players, random average players, high-powered players. Seriously, just do point buy.
Point buy's fine.
Yeah.
Point buy lets you build what you want to do and supports basically all the classes, minus excessively mad ones, but even excessively mad ones don't work for the rolling things. You roll nonsense stats.
Oh, okay. Through my magical powers of reading, 25 is actually the base point buy in this.
25 is that place point buy.
Yeah, yeah, because non-standard point buy is actually its own alternate.
Oh yeah, no, there it is.
Okay,
yeah, 25 points is standard, and then you have low-powered challenge suffer.
Yeah,
are different. Okay.
Yeah. Races, including sub-races. We don't actually put any in here, but we're talking about them.
Yeah. No, they're in the monster manual.
Yeah, they're in the monster manual, but, yeah. Also in here, monsters as races. Again, we're not actually showing you any of their stats, but here's monsters as races. It's actually kind of the advantage, I'm using this very loosely, of how 3.5 builds monsters is everything is effectively a character class, or is built like the character classes or akin to them. So it is simple enough to let a player run a monster or a monstrous race. It's often not a good idea, however, for the player, because level adjustment is kind of a bitch.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here are level adjustments. If you take, for instance, if you are a hobgoblin as a player character, you would use the hobgoblin stat line. You would add 1 to it for level adjustment. But your actual level, if I remember correctly, is your hit dice plus your level adjustment to find your actual effective character.
Well, yeah, because monsters will effectively have levels, pseudo levels that are their hit dice.
Some won't.
Hobgoblins will not actually have hit dice, so they are just a +1 level adjustment. Let's see, they get a +2 Dex and Con, Dark Vision to 60 feet, and +4 racial bonus to move silently. Yep. This costs them an entire level to have basically a +2 to stats and stuff that you would get from a normal class.
Yep. Like for instance, other stuff on that table, like Minotaur. I think Minotaur is 4 natural hit dice. If I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. So a Minotaur with a level 2 adjustment basically starts as a level 6 guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because they effectively have 4 levels. Yeah, because they effectively have 4 levels in Minotaur. But, yeah. But yeah. It's a doable thing, but your results vary wildly depending on how close level adjustment is to actually being worth a level.
Yep.
And sometimes eating a level is fine. Like, the Hobgoblin is eating 1 level for +4 stats. That's not a great trade, but it's not a huge deal, especially at higher levels. A Vampire is eating 8 levels of level adjustment. It is not worth it.
Yeah.
Classes and modifying character classes, where gives generally basic advice. Also, a witch. I mean,
mention witch in there as if you're making a new class.
Actually gives you a spell list for it too.
It does.
Yeah. This isn't per se a good idea, but hey, it's there.
Want to play witch? Play Pathfinder.
Yeah, Pathfinder has a much more built-out witch.
I mean, they have an actual class for it.
I mean, literally, if you're going to play 3.5, play Pathfinder.
3.5, play Pathfinder.
It has a lot of the flaws of 3.5, but it's still a better.
But it also fixed a number of issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything directly off the top of my head that base 3.5 does better than Pathfinder.
And I quote, "Prestige classes are purely optional, always under the purview of the DM. We encourage you as the DM to tightly limit the prestige classes available in your campaign. The example prestige classes are certainly not all-encompassing or definitive. They might not even be appropriate for your campaign. The best prestige classes for your campaign are the ones you tailor make yourself. Remember, make a prestige class for every player in your game."
Also, 90% of the player content we're going to produce is prestige classes. But they should only be optional, tailored to your campaign.
Okay. So I've been reading ahead because I'm cutting up books in advance, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is contradicted by basically every fucking book past this.
Correct.
Not surprising.
You open a complete book. Yeah.
Every book is just prestige classes with your core way to or do stuff in that particular book with characters.
You open a complete book and it said it's straight up says these are character options, period. Including the fairly large amount of prestige classes they drop in every one of them.
Uh-huh.
Alright. So let's start with these prestige classes. This is Arcane Archer. This is the definition of meh.
Yeah. You have to have at least a caster level.
You have to have at least a caster level. You have to have a base attack bonus of 6. This means you're getting into the 7, I think is. Yeah, 7. You have to have
specifically arcane level caster level.
Yeah. Which means sorcerer, wizard, or bard. I think actually works fine. Ish. Yeah, bard would work fine. Wouldn't be good. But...
Is there another table for this one, or am I correct in assuming this one doesn't enter caster level?
It does not increase your caster level. It is
okay,
just...
so this is garbage.
Yes. Okay, of note, Enhance Arrow is an enhancement bonus to arrows, so I guess you could save some money on magic item there. And then it has some garbage abilities. Okay, moving on. Yeah, much like the rest of D&D, prestige classes are also full of trap options.
Yep.
This isn't even a good trap. You have to be an elf or half-elf. Who's going to even fucking be that in this edition? You have to be really in love with being a fucking elf to run an elf in this edition. Especially if you're using just the base books.
I said, when you get labor books, when you get all the elf subclasses, you have more options.
Yeah.
They can be more viable then. But yeah, base elf is not great.
Arcane Trickster, and...
Perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. And more of a thing, this is actually what I missed from prestige classes, because this is... Ironically, this actually exists in 5th edition, but that's a different matter entirely. But this is one of the examples of a hybrid prestige class, where it is advancing as prestige class is literally you're just advancing both as a rogue and as whatever spellcaster. I
Yeah,
believe this
full
is arcane
casting
spellcaster.
progression, full sneak attack progression.
Yeah. Beyond that, it gets a couple of features, one of which is good and one of which is bad. So, range Legger Main is fucking awful, in the sense that you can do some rogue things at range with a daily limit, and it increases the DCs for no fucking reason. Like the amount of precaution they put for range Legger Main in there is beyond the pale. In Prop 2 sneak attack is you could just straight up sneak attack.
Yeah, like this is perfectly fine if you want to run a rogue wizard.
Yeah.
As I'll say often, Pathfinder does Arcane Trickster better, but this is still fine.
Yeah.
This works.
Yeah. Archmage, the most relevant prestige class in this book, quite frankly.
If you are a wizard, this is your end game.
Yeah. You have to be level, let's see, 15.
You
so
can't
12,
get into it until level
13.
16. Oh no, that's right. Those are 15 rounds.
Yeah.
But also
Subcast level is 13.
Yes, you can't get into level 14.
Yeah.
Because you need 7th levels.
Yeah. So level 14 is the minimum if you're 15 if you're a sorcerer, technically. But yeah, you basically trade spell slots for High Arcana, which are actually really fucking cool abilities.
Yeah. So this is the end game of basically every single wizard, barring some very specific build exception.
Yeah. Because even if you're doing a prestige class, you've already finished with it, or you're practically finished with it by the time you start this.
Yeah. You will drop out of prestige classes to go into Arcana.
Yeah. Assassin.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's pretty incompatible with your average party, considering they have to be evil.
They do have to be evil, but it advances rogue sneak attack and gives you other features.
Yep.
And
It
spells.
gives you spells. The spells are, I think, okay-ish, basically. Death attack is very much a meme.
Death attack is cute.
Yeah. So
if you can do it, it's funny. But otherwise, whatever.
yeah, basically you have to study a victim for 3 rounds while they're unaware of you, I believe, and then you make an attack. If they don't pass a save, they die. Yeah, that's the extent of it. If you're incredibly sneaky, this can be amusing. If you're not incredibly sneaky, why are you in this class?
Technically, I believe it's you can't be detected or recognized as a.
Yes. So naturally, you just be a cat.
Just be a cat. You can just polymorph or turn yourself into something else. Like disguise self works perfectly fine for that.
Yeah.
You got options, but you spend 3 rounds observing someone, then you do a sneak attack. It gives them a fortitude save, or save or die.
Yep. Beyond that, it has other class features. Hide in plain sight's legitimately good. Saves against poison might come up, I guess. Yeah.
You still get uncanny dodge and improved uncanny dodge, so you're not losing on features. Technically, you're losing out on increases of traps, but literally, who cares?
You're losing out on the you don't get improved evasion or any of the other later level rogue features.
You don't get the rogue trick, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still not bad.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
The biggest issue is most players aren't going to go into it.
It requires you to be evil, and it's fine, but so is also continuing in rogue. So there's that. It also has a low number of skills, but that's
Yeah, 4 is both.
Okay, it has a low number of skills for a rogue type, I should say.
But you can pick up spells. You have some versatility. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine to go into.
Blackguard.
Literally unplayable in a party.
Literally unplayable in a party and basically an NPC class. This is very incompatible. On the other hand, I do like Blackguard better as a name than Anti-Paladin.
Yes, Blackguard definitely sounds better than Anti-Paladin. Like Rio. Also, the Anti-Paladin artwork was dumb as shit.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. But yes, for those of you who don't know what a Blackguard is, Paladin but evil. Okay, we're done.
Paladin but evil.
Generally heads an undead army or some stuff like that, I guess.
I should also when we say unplayable in a party means for most parties, because most parties don't tend to be evil. If you're running an evil campaign, go nuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And granted, still kind of mad at an evil party, if I'm quite frank.
It's just evil paladin. It's a 10-level prestige class evil paladin. It also gets sneak attack, which is like, fine.
Yeah. Dragon Disciple. What? This exists. It makes you into a half dragon, basically.
It makes you into a half dragon. Yeah, it's basically a sorcerer only class.
Yeah, you
Sorcerer
have to
or bard.
Arcane
You
a
non-prep arcane caster.
Yeah. Yeah, bard or sorcerer can go into it. You give up any further progression in spellcasting and go on a complete tangent.
You spend 10 levels. You get basically all the features the half dragon template would give you.
Yeah, we'll talk about templates when we get to the monster manual, but yeah.
It's not a good prestige class.
No, it is not a good prestige class. Even more so because it is a tangent from both bard and especially sorcerer. It's like, hey, do you want to be more survivable and, I don't know, have a breath weapon and
have a bunch of strength increases and no casting progression.
Yeah.
You get some bonus spells known.
Yeah, any prestige class that's meant for a caster that starts to lose casting progression starts to become suspect, and if it has no casting progression, it has to do a lot of heavy lifting to be worth it, in general.
Yeah. I can't think of a single caster-focused one that doesn't have casting progression. That's actually there are some where you may eat a 1 or 2 level reduction and still make it work, but if you have no casting progression, never go.
Yep. Duelist. This is actually added. This was not in the 3.0 DM's guide. It was added in the 3.5 players DM's guide just so they could ruin the class. So, granted, the class beforehand consisted of a 1-level diff just to get candy defenses, which lets you add int to your dex modifier to armor class.
Yeah.
Because we need to be really wordy in that.
Yeah. But this one caps it at your level.
Yeah. So you can only add up to your level int to your dex bonus to armor class. I'm running out of breath saying this sentence.
Yeah. I mean, it stops it from being a 1-level dip class, which, fine.
Fine, I guess, but who the fuck cares? It's int on a melee class.
Hey, for all those secretly int-based fighters.
Beyond this class is completely mediocre, quite frankly.
I mean, it's better than not getting class features, but yeah, you're gonna have better options.
Yeah. And after feats start proliferating, it's not as good as just staying in fighter, which is kind of sad. Dwarven Defender is definitely a thing.
It's defensive.
It is defensive.
It gets DR. That's.
Yeah, it does get DR and not insignificant.
Yeah, it gets flat DR.
Yeah. It gets flat damage reduction. It certainly gets defensive stance, because that will... Okay, so...
It's a defensive rage.
It's no, that's better than it actually is. It's a defensive rage that you lose when you move.
Yeah.
And still has a, when this wears off, fuck you a little bit.
Well,
it's not as bad as rage, because, let's see, -2 penalty of strength for duration of the rest of the encounter.
Well, I mean, the real issue is that it boosts your cons. So there's a chance you just explode and you drop out of it.
It is, but it's a lot... if I remember...
and if I remember correctly, level 8 mobile defense lets them move while it's active.
It lets them move 5 feet. So you can move 5 feet around. You can take 5-foot steps. At least they are actually steps.
Like, you get a bunch of AC out of it. Like, if you want to be a tank,
yeah.
Sure.
You really need reach as well, and a good amount of it, so, like, you're a bigger size. We are trying way too hard to make this class even fucking function. Also, it also makes it also makes you take endurance and toughness.
It does make you take a dodge endurance stuff.
You do,
and of course, you have to be a dwarf as well.
Yes, but as we went over before, at least dwarf is acceptable.
Yes.
Let's see. Eldritch Knight. It's boring. It's fine.
It's boring, but it's fine.
Yeah. Like.
It is caster full. It's full attack bonus at the cost of one cast one.
Yeah, and you get a bonus feat that That can be
Yeah, you get 1 bonus feat.
Yeah, you get 1 bonus feat. I believe it's a fighter. Wait a minute. Yep, fighter bonus feat. It is a fighter bonus feat specifically. Bonus feats vary wildly whenever they appear on classes. Sometimes they're fighter bonus feats, sometimes they're picked from this list of bonus feats, or sometimes it's meta magic bonus feat. They don't tell you, unless you actually read them. Also has a d6 hit die, which is kind of a little painful for something that ostensibly is meant to go into melee or something. Yeah.
It's splitting the difference kind of between being a wizard and martial, but it's fine.
It's fine. It could have gotten more, quite honestly, and been fine still. Even just like a couple more bonus feats might have been okay. Probably not, but like something interesting would have been nice.
What are the prereqs for getting into it?
The prereqs for getting into it are proficient with martial weapons, able to cast 3rd level arcane spells. You can get into it at 6.
Okay, you can get into it.
Proficient with all martial weapons, so you do have to.
You can do it 7, because you have to take a 1 level dip to something martial.
Oh yeah, so it'd be 7.
So you're losing 2 cast levels for better base attack bonus. Which, I mean, if you're doing a blast mage, isn't really the worst necessarily, assuming you're using spells that actually require attack rolls because you have a higher attack bonus.
Yeah,
it's runnable.
It's runnable.
It's mediocre, but it's runnable.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear us say it's mediocre but runnable for a lot of prestige classes as we go through here.
Yeah.
By that mean you're probably never going to do this because why? Unless you have some
you want to do some really specific idea. Like I really want to be a melee wizard. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Hierophant wants to be archmage but isn't.
Yes, it's clerk archmage but bad.
Yep.
You know how archmage still has full caster progression? Yeah, let's get rid of that part. For fucking reasons.
And the abilities just aren't as good.
Yeah, the abilities aren't as good either. Yeah, this is a mound of text that you basically can ignore. It's just like, if this was a hole in this book, it would not.
You're going to pick 5 abilities in here as you level up. You're not taking this class ever.
No. It's not worth losing spellcasting because spellcasting is that powerful.
It is, as I said earlier, if you're a caster and you're going into a class that doesn't include creature spellcasting, you're not going into that class.
Yeah. There are some exceptions, but they are rare and far between because they give you
losing a level or 2 is fine. I don't think there's any class that loses all of its caster progression that's worth going in as a caster.
I don't think so either, but I'm not going to guarantee that. There are too many prestige classes.
We'll find out as we go.
Yep. Horizon Walker. I forgot this class exists, and you will too once I move on to the next page. But
you pick various terrain types, and you get various bonuses depending on that terrain type. Each terrain type has a different bonus, so it's not like you just get it's not like Ranger, favorite enemy, except for terrain, because each terrain type has its own very specific bonus.
Now the positive thing is, this is the terrain type is very much a flavorful thing. Whatever bonus you get is based on the terrain type, but it works anywhere you are.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, moving on, because none of these bonuses are even all that worthwhile. That's the negative part. All right, Lore Master, you know things.
It has full caster progression, so it's fine.
It's notably available to both
casters. It's not like
both caster types. Arcane and Divine can use it.
Although you do have to know, and you have to know divination.
Yeah, you have to know 7 divination spells. This is not actually a problem.
No.
Divination is a big enough school, and this includes cantrips.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you can go into it, it's fine. You lose nothing.
Yeah.
You have to have skill focus as a feat.
No, you have to have skill focus knowledge, but that's not the worst thing in the world to have skill focus.
That's fine. And then you have to have item creation feats or
meta magic feats, but you're generally going to have that as a caster anyways.
It's fine.
10, 9, 8. So you'd be going into this at 8 hypothetically, but only human can get into it at 8, I think. No, that's not quite true. If you have bonus meta magic feats from wizard.
Yeah, if you're a wizard, you get meta magic defeats it at 1 and 5.
Yeah. But yeah.
Technically, meta magic or item creation. Wizard bonus.
Yes. But yeah, it's basically here's spellcasting plus class features as opposed to spellcasting plus not class features. The class features are basically bardic knowledge, so ish flavored stuff. So it's not the best thing in the world, but it's better than the class features for wizard, which are occasional bonus magic feat, or for sorcerer, which is
nothing.
Literally nothing.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It has full cast progression. It works.
Mystic Theurge, and the first
actually interesting.
Yes, it is a dual caster, or is a dual class of both arcane and divine casting.
You basically end up giving up like 3 levels to your cap effective, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
based on its prerequisites, and then you get full casting progression on both sides in the prestige class. You end up as like
10 levels.
Yeah, you end up as like a 17 wizard, 15 cleric, or something like that, or 17 cleric,
15 wizard, whatever your choice is past the prestige class, because you can only take 10 levels in the prestige class. But yeah. It's actually
it's good.
It's good. It's actually legitimately interesting. It's legitimately interesting, even though it is really plainly written. It looks kind of as boring as some of the other classes, but the fact that it is just giving you advancement in 2 different types of spellcasting more than makes up for that.
Yeah, like you'll note it has no class features. It doesn't need them. It's fine.
Yep. Also on this page, Red Wizard of Thay. Somewhat of an NPC thing.
That's okay. They do just call it Red Wizards of Thay in the text.
Yes, they do actually call it.
Exists.
Red
Okay, they do specifically reference Forgotten.
Yeah, they occasionally, even though the default setting is Greyhawk, they will occasionally reference Forgotten Realms with prestige classes.
It's fine. It has full casting progression.
It's fine. It's just also Red Wizards of Thay are mainly built on working with other Red Wizards of Thay.
Correct.
So, yeah, that
it's mostly a case of it has full casting progression. It gives just class features. Is it great? No, but is it better than having no class features? Yes.
Yeah. It can be. It can also be reflavored if you can convince your DM to do it, which is generally going to be what happens. But remember, prestige classes are exclusively the purview of the DM. Okay.
Like, you would need to talk to your DM considering one of their prerequisites is human from Thay.
Yeah. Hey, you could be a favor. You could be a Faerun campaign.
I mean, yeah, you could be a Faerun campaign, but otherwise.
Yeah. Also, you need tattoo focus, which exists in this book, but that's a different matter entirely. Okay, moving on. Shadow Dancer. It lets you move. Yeah. This is a class very much based on moving, hiding in shadows. Summon shadows actually like it's a real class feature. Or real class thing.
It's the thing that is like why you'd go into it.
Yeah. Basically you get a reasonably decent companion for I remember. It's just really painful if it ever dies. Fortitude save or you're going to lose experience.
You lose XP. They have XP 8 and 3/5.
Yeah.
It has combat reflex with dodge mobility as requirements, but those aren't reasonable. Plenty of characters will have those.
Yeah. Mobility is the only thing that really feels like... Yeah, again, it's fine. It's just that, again, it's fine, it's just not... like a lot of prestige classes, it's like, did this really tickle your fancy for whatever reason? No? Okay, moving on.
Like, this is the kind of thing that would be an ACF in Pathfinder.
Yes.
But you'll find that a lot of these prestige classes end up being things that feel like they would be ACFs in Pathfinder.
Yeah. There are notable exceptions like Mystic Theurge. There's no way to do this as an ACF. There's no way to do it. That has to be that.
And Pathfinder has a version of Mystic Theurge as well, which also works perfectly fine. But also gives it features.
Yes.
Nothing amazing feature-wise, but does add features on top of just Castrol.
Yeah, but generally that's actually what the prestige classes are very good at, is actually building stuff that's either...
I think when the prestige classes do combine 2 classes together, they almost always work.
Yeah. And at the very least, it's an interesting idea, and something you can't actually do just as an ACF, or just ACF, by the way, stands for alternate class features to anyone listening.
That's a Pathfinder thing where they actually want your base classes.
Yeah,
You basically have variants you can swap out for practically the vast majority of your class ability swapped out to different alternate.
Yeah.
It's a great system.
Or they subclasses in 5th edition, which are kind of the same idea. Like, literally, Arcane Trickster and Eldritch Knight are subclasses of Rogue and Fighter.
Yep.
They work differently, but the idea is there.
Casting Fighter, casting.
Yep. Thaumaturgist. Summoning, but the less broken kind. So we went over summoning magic, which is the very broken kind of nonsense. And they do actually have augment summoning, but you could just pick that up as a feat anyways. This one is based around I called some denizen from an outer plane in order to, I don't fucking know, something, do stuff. There are spells that do that. They are significantly less broken.
These are actually based around using the calling subset of spells, not the summoning subset of spells. By being based around summoning.
Which class?
Thaumaturgist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thaumaturgist.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has full casting progression, so it's perfectly fine to go into.
Yeah.
You get class features. Fine.
Yeah. But yeah,
but
generally,
it's about casting playing around, not summoning.
Yeah, generally, I don't know if I've ever. I definitely haven't run one. I don't think I've ever been with player character who said, I really want to use Planner Ally. Just because it's really. Like, it's kind of a pain and is like, I want to derail the campaign for a little bit so I can see if I can convince something to help us for, like, I don't know, a few fucking days or something.
Yeah.
And is somewhat at the purview. There are actual checks for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different system.
It's doable, but it's
It is. I'm something that is not under my control. So I do need to basically negotiate with it for its assistance, as opposed to a summon monster spell, which is I summon a monster and it fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has a lot more potential of what you can get out of it, but it is not a case of like the summon monster spells where it's summon this thing to solve an issue. This is summon this thing to potentially cause an issue. To hopefully summon an issue.
It also has
worst case your spell does nothing.
Yeah. Worst case the spell does nothing, but also peeling back to the actual like playing the game parts, it adds extra role playing to the game that is entirely focused on your character and can also put more burden on the DM because he actually has to know what the hell is up with the thing you summoned. Because monsters in 3.5 are non-trivial things to actually learn and control. Especially when you start getting into, like, high, even mid-tier outsiders. Which will have their own array of spells and actions.
Yeah, they are far more than just most of the things. They're far more than the Summon Nature's Ally lists, which are typically launch at thing and attack.
Yeah. Let's see. Creating NPCs above first level. You know, that thing we did all the time. And again, as recommended unless you're new to this game. You think this would be where the wealth by level table would be, you know?
No.
No.
The campaign section.
Not.
We've been over this.
Yeah.
Where it belongs. Not under this heading specifically talking about characters starting below the first level.
Yeah. Also, special cohorts. Because they weren't completely insane, they actually there are a lot of tables in a lot of books that are basically like, hey, do you want this monster as a cohort? Here's the level equivalent for this monster. Also, the improved familiar spell is in here, which
yes, improved familiar is in here.
Yeah, not really much of mention other than it basically turns your familiar into something less likely to die in combat slightly. And it for a feat, it can be a neat way to get a specific type of pet you might want, I guess.
Yep.
Other than that, it's very meh. Also, a very abridged version of the epic rules. We won't really go over them in too much detail in here because there's an entire book for them. Granted, it's a 3.0 book, so it's not really going to be in this project, but we'll probably eventually talk about it at some point, maybe.
Basically, there are technically rules for expanding past level. As you saw when we were looking at the base classes, they go up to level 20. There are technically rules for progressing level 20.
Yeah.
They exist.
They exist. There's technically
don't do it.
No, there's technically a hard cap of 20. Don't do it. On the other hand, the epic level handbook is a legitimately amusing book, but
Oh, it's definitely an amusing book, but don't try and play a campaign.
no, don't. All right, magic items, also known as the literally best part of this goddamn book for marshals. It is the hot glue and duct tape that keeps them from being completely fucking useless.
Yep.
They're, again, well-intentioned bad advice when it comes to, yeah. Well-intentioned bad advice when it comes to this book is like the whole, okay, magic items are again the purview of the DM. I sympathize with this kind of idea, but magic items are very integral to characters in 3.5 and the math of this system, especially the math of the system for marshals, which means that if you don't do magic items right, or just say fuck it, here's your budget, don't don't do anything stupid that I have to slap you for, you're going to run into problems where your martial characters are probably going to be useless, and or just die way more horribly than you think or way more quickly than you think they are in combat. Yeah, in general, magic items are much more of a boon to the martial characters than they are to the magic characters. There are certain things that are there for the magic characters, but mostly it's there for just general defense or for actually making the marshals not suck in combat. And by that, I mean that's not the intention of it, but that's just basically how the system works out.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with talking about armor and shields. Yeah, enchantments on armor and shields basically improves how much AC they give you.
Well, how much AC they give you, or their effects have.
Yeah. So unique to the system is, yeah, as you can see, you can go up to a +10, but only 5 of that can actually be a bonus to your AC.
Bonus.
Yeah. So a lot of
but a separate enhancement bonus, then enhancement bonus, because it's an enhancement bonus that increases the armor or the shield value, not an enhancement bonus directly to AC, because that one.
Because we wanted to use the word enhancement bonus more than we actually needed to.
Because we made an enhancement bonus a specific bonus type, but then also made enhancement bonus the terminology we use for increasing weapon.
Yeah. So, other things of note. Let's see. So you get the you can use part of this or you can use this bonus for either just straight increasing the AC, or there's various abilities that will be the equivalent of this much enhancement bonus. So fortification being the most notable one on armors in this book, because it lets you prevent being crit.
And negate crit.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you'll also note a bunch of those abilities just have flat numbers on them, flat amounts on them. They just cost that amount.
Yeah, they cost that amount,
and they don't increase the enhancement level.
Yeah. If you're making a character above level 1, you can only spend half your wealth on any one item, so that's the other hard limit.
Yeah.
If you're crafting items, the cost also determines how long it takes to make, but that's a different matter entirely.
Yep.
In this book, not really all that much that's great for armor. If for some reason you have way too much of a budget, I guess you could throw elemental resistance on it, but it's almost never worth the money unless your campaign is really focused around one element. Yeah,
like
you're going to
the only time you go for an elemental resistance is if you know the campaign is based entirely around that element, in which case, yeah, that could be a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Costs, or at least the enhancement bonus costs, increase exponentially.
Yeah.
Both for weapons and armor.
Yeah. So it's basically 1, 4, 9. Yeah, so it's basically plus 3
bonus
plus
bonus squared.
Yeah, there's math.
It is bonus squared, and then for weapons, it's double bonus, or bonus squared times 2.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, when it comes to this book, I think fortification is the only thing seriously worth it on armor. I think you might be able to get bonus to hide and move silently.
Wild if you're a druid. I believe wild is the one that lets you keep your armor when you are.
Yes, wild if you're a druid. Yes, it is.
That I think is the only sole exception I can think of the top of my head. Other stuff like you can get like shadow, slick, and silent moves are perfectly fine for being stealthy characters, but those are flat cost, not cost.
And there's other things that are like complete garbage, like spell resistance, which mostly exists so the DM can create a really valuable magic item for you to sell later.
Yep. Because like at the time you'd be using something like a +5 bonus to get SR19, you're just fighting things with cast levels that high, so who cares?
Yeah. It's like...
and then there are also specific armor.
There are specific armors, except a lot of these are a lie, because Mithril Shirt, Elven Chain, and Adamantite Breastplate are something we'll go over later.
Weapons!
Okay, weapons are a lot more interesting in this book, at least.
Bonuses that matter.
Yep. As Shiv went over, basically it costs twice as much to enchant a weapon, and if you're enchanting 2 weapons, screw you.
You pay for 2
your
weapons.
budget. You pay for 2 weapons.
Or if you're trying to enchant your fists, when we get to the other magic item section, wonders item section, you pay twice as much as well.
Yeah.
It's my favorite section in this book.
But yeah, the weapons in this book are legitimately like neat and actually interesting, because you do straight up just build your weapon from a bunch of different properties. And unlike the armor, they actually have they have more than like a few or they have more than just basically fortified, because not really much else is worth it. So brilliant energy is you ignore non-living matter when attacking, which is amusing, or which is great unless you run into like undead or constructs, which you can't damage with it. But otherwise, it's like their AC is basically become.
You have a breastplate? That's great. Who cares?
Keen, which granted gets replaced with a feat, but it's also only a +1 bonus, so you know it's either or. Anarchic, which is a placeholder for anarchic, axiomatic, unholy, and holy, all of which do the same thing, which is 2d6 versus something of that alignment, and makes it that alignment for overcoming DR, which is extra important in this edition, because a lot of things like demons and devils, for example, will have DR evil. If your weapon isn't holy, you're just going to have to blow. You're just going to lose straight up damage off of every attack you do.
Yep. All the elemental ones, flaming, frost, shock, etc., do a d6 of that elemental damage.
It is tempting to stack all of them, but it does run into the issue of again, stuff like demons and devils will not just have like. Demons have immunity to electricity, devils have immunity to fire, but they'll also have, like...
resistances.
Yeah, they'll have resistance 10 to every other element as well. Except Sonic. Sonic is not
the domain of
anything.
Slads.
It is the domain of Slads. It is not nothing resists Sonic. Slads are immune to it. Beyond that, go nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, Sonic's perfectly fine. Bane is... You have a creature type, and if it's an outsider or humanoid, you have a subtype as well. When you're attacking that, you get plus your enhancement bonus is 2 higher, and you deal 2d6 extra damage.
Yeah. Enhancement bonus still can't go above 5, so just don't enchant it above 5, and if you're throwing Bane on your weapon, you know what you're fighting, and since you're in the middle of a campaign, usually when you're throwing Bane on your weapon, you know what you're fighting. It's like Ranger, except Ranger can actually pick its favorite enemy after the campaign starts and tailor it to whatever's being thrown at you at the moment. And if they stop getting thrown at you, you just get a different weapon with a different Bane.
Yep.
This one is
the nice
silly.
The nice thing about Bane is it's also just +1.
Yeah.
So, like, you could grab a +1 Bane weapon for like, okay, I think we may have to fight XYZ thing. Grabbing like a +1 demon Bane weapon, if you're concerned about fighting demons, isn't all that expensive and gets you good damage. Effectively, is a +3 weapon with 2 extra 6 on it and fighting. Yeah. It's nice to be like, we may have to fight this. I'll grab like a +1 longsword of blank Bane as a backup in case we have to fight those things as a viable.
Speaking of backup weapon, there's also Ghost Touch. Ghosts have
Yeah,
a
if you need to fight
50%
ghosts.
mischance. Incorporeal creatures in general have a 50% mischance.
50%.
If you're using a magic weapon. If you're not using a magic weapon, you cry.
Yeah, you can't hurt them at all.
Yep. Or you have a weapon, or if you know you're fighting ghosts, you have a weapon with this +1 bonus, so you cannot suck.
Technically, there's two aspects of Ghost Touch. A, it ignores that 50% mischance. And if you have the capacity to go incorporeal, your weapon will still work perfectly fine.
Yep.
Vicious, 2 damage for 1 damage, or 2 dice of damage for 1 dice of damage to yourself, which is okay.
Perfectly fine. It's a 1 bonus.
Yeah. It's a 1 bonus.
Merciful is 1 bonus for 2d6 subdual damage, I want to say.
Yes. Non-lethal, but yeah.
Non-lethal, yeah.
Yeah, which is a thing in this edition. Basically, non-lethal and lethal damage will stack for purposes of figuring out whether something is conscious. It's not actually dying unless it's taken full on its HP in lethal damage, and non-lethal heals per hour rather than per day.
Yeah, but basically when your actual hit point total is equal to or less than your non-lethal damage total, you fall.
Yeah. It works perfectly fine until it doesn't, because things become, or there's a lot of things that are immune to non-lethal damage, most notably constructs and undead, and there is a lot of undead.
Yep.
And of course Vorpal. It's not good, but it's amusing as shit.
Yes, if you roll a natural 20 and confirm the crit,
dead.
you chop off the thing's head.
Yep.
It is specifically chop off a head, so if it is a multiple-headed creature that wouldn't die for having a head removed, doesn't kill it, but otherwise...
Yeah.
Or if it's something that doesn't need a head, like undead or golems, etc.
Yeah.
Well, you can't crit them anyways.
You also can't crit them anyways, yeah. That doesn't matter. This isn't actually... roll a natural 20 followed by a successful roll to confirm critical hit.
Gotta confirm a critical hit.
Yeah, you still have to confirm a critical hit, which you couldn't cause to them in the first place. Yeah. But of note, it's also a +5 bonus, so it's a shit ton of money for something that will almost never come up.
It's not worth it at all.
It isn't, but it is very amusing.
What are the other ones? There's also the bursts, which do an extra dice on... Or extra 1, 2, 3 d10 on crits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, crit multiplier -1 times that number, d10.
Yeah.
And speed, which is an extra attack.
Yeah. The burst would be okay if it wasn't for the fact they're elemental and have all the same flaws as elemental. And yes,
they do also count as the base version. So if you have a shocking burst weapon, it has a d6 shocking.
And then does extra damage when you crit.
For d10 on crits.
Yeah. Which again is very contingent on what you're fighting in a campaign, and if they throw the occasional demon or devil at you, then you're going to
they drop
lose
efficiency quick.
Yeah. Specific weapons. More worth talking about than specific armor, at least, but not by much. Luckblade is amusing because it is literally you get wishes.
Yeah. Luckblade to do wishes. Holy Avenger is one of the as you have actually pulled it out here. One of the quintessential specific magic weapons.
Yeah. If you have a player who is a paladin and you want to make them happy, give them a Holy Avenger.
Yep. It's a +2 cold iron longsword. That's a +5 cold iron longsword in their hand.
+5 holy cold iron longsword in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spell resistance
and dispel once per round. Yeah, once per round.
Or just straight up once per round as a standard action. Yeah.
Greater dispel magic once per round is.
Using their class level, not their caster level, which is.
Yep. Yeah, it is like the weapon paladin.
Yeah.
You can honestly make better weapons, but it's the weapon paladin.
Yeah.
I do want to point out one specific one on the list there. Sword of
Is it
Subtlety.
Oh, I thought you were going to notice the dwarven thrower and be disappointed that it doesn't throw dwarves.
No, it's a hammer that throws and returns to you. Other one of the ones, the Sunblade is on here. Sunblade is an interesting one. Sunblade is a bastard sword that you can also basically use all the short sword rules for.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it has the damage profile and everything of a bastard sword, but you can effectively treat it as a short sword for wielding stuff. You can offhand wield it, and as if it were a light one-handed weapon. And it has a once per day thing where you can basically raise it up and do a sunbeam attack. Fucks up vampires.
Yeah, it do.
as appropriate.
Also,
There's a
concealable
catch for
creatures,
some
it's a
of these
+4 instead of a +2. Yeah.
Yeah, so much. Like it's a perfectly fine one.
Yeah. As for the Sword of Subtlety, +1 short sword, thin dull gray blade, provides a +4 bonus to the wielder's attack and damage rolls when he's making a sneak attack with it.
Yep.
Oh.
Something also notable about this, if the DM actually allows you to do it, I almost never asked and never did it. You can reverse engineer these, so let's say you wanted a Holy Avenger but Greatsword. You just literally subtract out the cost of Longsword, add in the cost of Greatsword.
That's a great sword. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Assassin's Dagger doesn't have to be a dagger. You could have an Assassin's Rapier.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
Generally, a DM will be fine with you doing this, but
If you want a Spear of Tear instead of a Mace of Tear, your DM is not going to bitch about it.
And realistically, as far as the balance of the game is concerned, it's perfectly fucking fine.
Yeah.
So moving on to other magic items. Potions and oils, they duplicate spells. Nothing big. You use them once, they go away. Rings. There are a decent amount of rings of note. You get 2 rings as well. There's a good chance one of them is going to be protection. I just put them as a list here. They're pretty straight. They pretty much do what they say on the tin. A lot of them are spells that either they trigger automatically, like Feather Falling, or their passive abilities. Like here's a Ring of Evasion, gives you evasion. A Ring of Freedom of Movement, you straight up just have freedom of movement the whole time. Spell storing rings let you store spells. That's exactly what it says on the tin. Rods do various things.
The immovable rod.
Yep.
The immovable rod is in here.
The immovable rod is in here, which is a rod where you just you hold it in the air somewhere, press a button, and it just stays in the air in that location, unless you have a 0-point immovable rod. Which it stays in that location in relation to whatever the center of the universe is.
But sometimes you have to ask if you're on the left or right of the movable rod.
This is a meme from old D&D message boards.
Yep. Metamagic rods let you use metamagic up to X number of times per day with that metamagic feat.
Yeah. What's notable about them is their cost is very much related to what spell level you want to affect, I believe, or is that
it is based on the spell level. The lesser, normal, and greater. I'm pretty sure it is 1 through 3, 4 through
6, and 9. Yeah. Well, it's 1 through 3. It's 6 and lower, 3 and lower, and
9 and lower. That's true. You could use a higher level one for casting first level spells.
Yeah.
The costs are roughly equivalent to the level increase they would have.
Yeah.
So, like, enlarges, extends, which are 1 level increase for meta magic would be 500.
Yeah.
Whereas Empower, which is +2, is 73. Quicken, which is +4, is 170 for like the greatest version.
Yeah. Generally, these are a good portion, or these are some of the best options for spellcasters, especially like a low-level Quicken can straight up just let them
cast a fireball, an extra fireball each round. 3 times a day.
For three times a day. Or if it's a cleric, they can actually get up a lot of combat buffs just as...
Yeah, they could get most of the combat buffs up at the start of a fight.
Yeah.
Or like one each round as they go.
Notably, a sorcerer is still screwed and has to take a full round action.
Correct, even if they use these.
Where do you think this would get around that? Nope.
Yeah, this only lets you use that given feat on.
Yeah, they overtax spontaneous casting more than they actually need to for whatever reason, but I think they overestimate how powerful it actually is.
And the low-level rods are pretty cheap, so you can, like, if you're starting at a decently high level, you could just have a handful of these.
Yeah.
Like, you just pull out one that you need on any given spell.
Yeah. The Quicken Rod is generally, like, the go-to for that, because there are a lot of, like, low-level spells that are just, like, personal buffs that are much more worth casting.
Personal buffs. It's fun to just quicken webs, so it's like level 2 and still an effective spell.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to be like a cleric who wants to buff themselves to go way into combat, grab a metamagic rock gunner.
Yeah. Let's see. Scrolls are one-time casts and then they go away. You're going to have trouble trying to cast a spell from a scroll unless it's something that your class can potentially cast, because it's a use magic item check with a rather high difficulty. It's also notable in the sense that a wizard can just straight up copy spells into his scroll book, also with a spellcraft check. This is primarily how they get more spells than they
besides the ones they get leveling.
Yeah. Staffs have charges that can be recharged by casters, by basically channeling spell slots they haven't used into them. Wands have 50 charges. When they're done, they disintegrate. They can't be recharged generally. Wondrous items do various things.
My favorite things.
Yep. Let's see. Notable ones that I pulled out here because it's a large list and I don't want to be here all day. Boots of Speed. It's 10 rounds of haste, and you can rank these up. This is the first time they do this in any of the goddamn books, and I'm amazed that they didn't use this more, and it annoys the crap out of me. A lot of abilities, like Rage, for example, which Pathfinder later, or instead of being like once per day, it makes it, you have X number of rounds of Rage, and they don't need to be consecutive. You could break them up. It takes a long time to do this with a lot of things, but for some reason they already invented the technology of Boots of Speed. Yeah. Braces of Archery, Lesser and Greater, these are very much
Hey, look, archer weapon. But specifically not crossbows. Fuck crossbows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Know your place, crossbow.
But yeah. Archery, the stronger of the martial things you can do, and they get their own special magic item that lets them hit better and do a bit more damage.
Correct.
Robe of the Archmagi, more iconic than anything else really, but is kind of neat. It's also a place where you can get a resistance bonus to saving throws that isn't a cloak, because there are a decent amount of things that compete with cloak slots. And the Ion Stones, magic items actually have slots. As we went over rings, you only get 2 rings. And then there's a bunch of other slots on the body that I'm not going to go over right now, because I would have to try and remember all of them.
Basically, we've seen boots. You can only have 1 pair of boots. We've seen bracers. You can only have 1 pair of bracers. We've seen robes. You can only have 1 robe.
Notably, bracers are wrists, which is not gloves.
Wrists, not hands. No.
Those are 2 different slots. There are more slots in this edition than you would expect.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Ion Stones don't go in any slot.
I love Ion Stones.
Yeah, they're amusing. They vary in usefulness. The ones that give you enhancement bonuses to stats are somewhat suspect. They cost double what it would for the base one. There's nothing better than a base item. There's nothing better than that, but it doesn't take up a slot. The other ones are just kind of plain good as long as you have the budget for it, like pale green, orange. The ones are just straight bonuses. Pearly white is not terrible if you have no healers in the party and are really fucking desperate.
Yep.
Regenerate 8 points of damage each round. There's
Dusty Rose Prism is a really handy one.
Dusty Rose for +1/8. So clear for 4K is just, you don't need meter drink.
Yep.
Clear for I don't want my DM nagging me about whether or not I've actually bought supplies constantly.
Yep.
At such a high level where why are we not just ignoring this unless we're doing a really, really specific thing?
Hey, you could be doing a Sandstorm campaign.
Yeah, you could be doing a campaign.
That would actually be a legitimately useful item.
Yes. It's a legitimately useful item when you're going off into the wilderness for months at a time. But, once characters get past level, 1, food costs cease to matter. Or at all. Let's see. Other amusing magic items. Bag of Holding.
But before we go on, my favorite things about Ion Stones.
Oh.
So they fly around your head.
Yeah.
They do not obstruct your vision because they tend to stay out of the way. They are also not able to be used for cover. They have a mind of their own and will specifically move to avoid any attack.
Yeah. Well, you can actively attack them.
No, you can actually attack them. But it's more of if I fire an arrow at someone, I never have to worry an Ion Stone got in the way.
No. Much like you don't have to worry about being shot in the back doesn't hurt your cloak of resistance.
Yep.
Yeah. But yes, a few other items of note that I found later just made their list for. Bag of Holding,
Yeah.
which for some reason I forgot.
Yeah.
Pretty standard adventuring gear. They have 4 types for some reason, but it's just basically, here's a thing that holds all the loot.
Yeah, they hold X amount of weight and space.
In older editions, they were called hirelings. But you generally,
The alternative to carrying around a bag of holding is to carry around a portable
You
hole.
were saying, oh, yep.
yeah, there's also a portable hole.
Don't put these in each other.
No.
Nope.
Winged boots, which compete with boots of speed, but at least let the melee fly to actually get into range to attempt to threaten a caster, up until somebody casts Dispel on them and they fall to the ground. It was an idea you had. Yes. Realistically, yes. And a folding boat, because we have a funny story with a folding boat.
Yeah, we do. we threw a folding boat at a Dracolich.
Yes.
Oh no.
So in the Pathfinder campaign, Skull and Shackles, there's actually a more specific folding boat that's also a hat.
Yes, it is a hat. It's a hat that turns into a boat.
That's amazing.
We were basically like in this cave. We were climbing up along the like the roof of the cave, and as my character decided to pull out his hat that was also a boat, and transform it to throw it at a dragon. I got sneak attack.
It should be noted, the campaign, the campaign.
It was not a
throws it at you.
Dracolich in the actual camp.
It was not a Dracolich in the actual campaign. Our DM liked to upscale the level of monsters just for fucking reasons. But that aside, that boat was like from the first module of 6. I think we got it at like level 1 or 2. And
We had it for a long time.
Yeah, we had it for a long time. And I think that's the only time it got used in the campaign.
Yes, because we had actual ships most of the time. Given how that campaign worked. But yeah, we had that. They
it was
had
a
that
pirate
folding
campaign.
at boat for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, now the part of magic items I fucking hate. Because these
are
exist for math.
These are the math items.
Yep.
Yep.
So you can see on the left, these are the defensive magic items. Here's your rings of protection, your amulet of natural armor, your bracers of armor, your cloak of resistance. Okay, you take these first 3, protection, the ring of protection, your amulet of natural armor, and your so the first 2.
Yeah.
You take those 2, and you take armor, and you take shield if you have it, and then it becomes a mathematical equation of what's the cheapest way to get another +1 to my AC. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And sorry, also gloves of dexterity, because those come up after a while. And it's just
true.
a back and forth between these 4 to 5 items to figure out. Buying magic items this is the pain in the ass part of buying magic items when you're actually trying to get a reasonably decent AC, because basically you're trying to maximize your AC per dollar or gold coin, but you get the fucking point. This is the peak math of the game, basically. Brace of armor, as an aside, are a little bit different. These are the armor for monks or spellcasters.
Those are specifically armor bonuses. They don't stack with actual armor.
Yes. It's at least reasonably costed. The Cloak of Resistance is annoying in the sense that this takes up your cloak slot. There are other interesting cloaks. Do you want to fail saves?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then there's all of these things over here, which are various slotted or various bonuses to stats, and they will always take up a slot. They're all on different slots. Notably, the Cloak of Charisma.
Do you want to be a charisma character? Do you also hate your saves?
Can you wear a robe of the Archmagi as well?
Are you a wizard? You
Yeah.
can wear a robe of the Archmagi?
It should be noted, if for some reason you could wear armor as a wizard, don't worry about it. Robe is a different slot than armor.
So my favorite thing about this one is actually the hell that is monk that we can see here. So Amulet of Natural Armor to
Yeah.
improve your AC is an amulet. Amulet of Mighty Fist to improve your attacks is an amulet. Periaptive Wisdom, which you would want to improve your wisdom as a monk, also takes up your next slot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can have one of these. You can't have all three.
As a mild bright side, this is actually improved fairly quickly. It's just we never bought that book, so we didn't realize that that the Bell of Magnificence has existed for a while. Interestingly enough, it is actually in the Miniatures Handbook.
Oh, okay. Fair
Yes.
enough.
Yeah. And yeah, on top of that, there are manuals. These are a inherent bonus to...
Inherent bonus.
Yes. And thus stack with all this stuff. You read a book, you take a week to read a book, and then you get a... or is it 20? No, anyone reads it. Total of 48 hours over minimum of 6 days. Yeah, you take about a week to read a book.
Take a week.
Yeah. You get somewhere between a +1 to +5. It's a ton of money for what it is, especially at the higher bonuses, because it is literally casting Wish or Miracle.
Yep.
But yeah, further math to increase stat in order to math. And yeah, as Shiv referenced, yeah, here's the Amulet of Mighty Fist. It costs even fucking more.
It's actually cheaper than I remember. It's actually less than enchanting a weapon. Oh no! Wait, no, never mind.
More.
It's 1.5 enchant. No, it's more.
It's more. More. It's 2K goes to 6K, which is more than double. This applies.
It's times 3.
It's oh god, yeah, it is times 3.
It's times 3. Only does the straight bonuses, and also competes with your wisdom increase and your.
Yeah, basically, monks don't get to have any of the fun in the magic item section while still desperately needing the math, and needs to spend a bunch extra on an amulet, and they still have to spend on other defensive things that, because like, in spite what the game thinks, monks still have a lot to spend on. On the bright side, they have this unique magic item that sucks.
Yes.
Hey, that makes your monk level count as 5 higher, but also prevents you from using a belt of strength.
Yes, or belt of magnificence, what comes up later.
Or a belt of magnificence.
Also, if you happen to be 16 or higher, it actively gets worse.
Yep.
Because 20 is the maximum for any of those bonuses anyways.
Yep.
Intelligent magic items. Plenty of rules for these. This is very much at the purview of the DM, especially to understand them, which is, I think, why I've never seen them in campaigns. For the most part.
Realistically, you're making an NPC that's an item.
Yeah.
It can have some extra abilities. It may not let the players use those abilities because the players may not be doing what the magic item wants them to do.
Yeah.
It's true.
Basically, glance over these rules as a general idea of what you might be able to do if you're going to build an intelligent magic item.
They have costs and everything listed there. Don't let your players build these.
No, don't let your players build these. No player is realistically going to build these because they know if they go over... none of this is actually worth the money, and if they go over the line, the DM has full control of your magic item, so they're not going to do it anyways.
Like, magic items, whether or not they appear in a campaign, are, unlike when we joke about when it says things being the purview of the DM, are entirely the purview of the DM.
Yeah.
You can do interesting stuff with them, but they are... DM is the only one who educates what magic exists.
Yeah. Cursed magic items, same way, but dicking with the players. This can be interesting. This can just be dickery.
Yep.
The big issue...
They're very good plot hook items.
They can be, but there's also... experienced players are overly precautious, especially if they're spellcasters, and there tends to be a point where it's like... you basically have to fiat they can't figure out that's a cursed item.
Are you guys overly cautious, though?
I don't know, you can be. It depends.
I mean, I see a ring, I put it on. It just happens.
I mean, all I'm saying is, like, 2 sessions ago in the campaign we're currently doing, Faye did very ask you for your name, gave it to it.
Well, you know. That certainly won't come back to bite us.
Wait, what?
We'll get to it later because it's not relevant to this stream series.
No. artifacts. These are fun and interesting and more interesting to read than anything else. But of note is both the Book of Exalted Deeds and the Book of Vile Darkness on this page.
Yep.
With an actual image of the Book of Vile Darkness. Or one of them, anyways. Yeah. Minor are... Yeah, so artifacts absolutely cannot be made or purchased by player characters. There is no cost to these. These are literally just relics lying around made by some
These are
insanely powerful things. Like, I think literally the Book of Vile Darkness is originally made by, like, Vecna. But, yeah. Notable on the Book of Exalted Deeds and Vile Darkness is they're also actually books. Vile Darkness is a 3.0 book. Exalted Deeds is a 3.5 book in enough technicality that it counts. Basically, it came out 3 months.
It was the transitionary.
Enough that we'll go into it at some point.
Enough that we'll go into it at some point fairly quickly, actually, after we're done with these. Because it came out only 3 months after this edition, and it does technically use the rules of 3.5. And from cutting it up as a primer, yeah, it needed another editing pass.
Oh god, did it ever.
That's a different matter entirely. By the way, Shiv, if you could figure out what the spell Protective Aura does, I would like to know.
And 3.5?
Yes. As far as I can tell... no. No, it is not.
Played a lot of 3.5, and I don't recall that one.
It's fine. There's a prestige class that can cast it as a spell-like ability.
I'll stack that up all the next to other things that don't really matter, like the fact that they made poisons and diseases for good.
Yeah.
The campaign ender.
Yes. And here's the deck of many things. Don't actually give this to your player characters, but it is amusing as shit.
Or do, it's funny.
Or do, it's funny. Or, let them make
I
a
gave
devil's
you guys a deck. I gave you guys a deck in our current campaign. You were terrified for a moment.
Yeah, why wouldn't we be? It might be fine. It might turn all of us into gibbering idiots. It's
If I remember correctly, one of the things you can do is just send a character into a void.
That might be on this list. I don't know. There have been Deck of Many Things is very much an inherited Magic item, and every edition has kind of its own unique
version of stuff that happens with it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the few times where, like, yeah, this is a little overbuilt, I guess, but this is exactly how it should be. It's like, oh, you can actually use a tarot deck or a playing card deck to actually get the effects. Like, okay, that's neat as hell. Like, I'm fully on board with that idea.
Yeah, it's a fun way to do it. Or if you want to use a deck of many things, you can just go get a tarot deck or a deck of playing cards, build a physical deck for your players with the cards listed here, hand it to them, and go, think about it.
Yeah.
So the one I was thinking of is called The Void. It doesn't send you to the void. But man, is it bad.
There's a lot of bad results.
Yeah, there are a lot of bad results and a lot of good results. It is... It's very much luck of the cards for what you're going to get, and they are extremes in a lot of cases. There's no minor.
My deck has no bad cards. I draw. Oh no! No,
this deck has bad cards.
Bad cards, yeah. Also of note on this page is the Sphere of Annihilation. I know this because this has been used for much dickery throughout the editions of D&D.
It's a sphere that annihilates things it touches.
It's involved with one of my favorite joke stories. The rogue that is constantly tossed into different things for traps. His party ends up dragging him and throwing him down a well that they think is an entrance to the Big Bad's lair. DM pulls the rogue player aside and says, "All right, you see a sphere of annihilation. You have enough time to say 6 words." Brings them back to the table. The rogue player sits with a completely straight face and goes, "All clear!"
I would have gone with my last breath. I curse Zoidberg, but...
I love that story, and I love the gazebo.
this is a minor spoiler for a campaign we will absolutely fucking never play because I don't think anyone of us is mean enough to run it. But
No, we're not going to run the fucking Tomb of Evil.
Tomb of Horrors.
Or Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the Tomb of Horrors is a statue with a black mouth. That black mouth is a sphere of annihilation.
Nice.
Yeah, we have better shit to do with our lives.
Yeah. Tomb of Horrors is infamous because it was originally... Yeah, it is full of dickery. It was originally built by Gary Gygax in order to literally dick with people at conventions who thought they were the shit when it comes to playing his game.
Amazing.
Let's see. More minor artifacts. And now we actually get to the major artifacts. Like the very iconic Hand of Vecna. Hand and Eye of Vecna. Which also itself has its own apocryphal sub-story attached to it of... let me try and remember how this one went. I believe it was two competing parties. One was evil and one was non-evil at the very least. Which were playing with the same DM but at different times. The non-evil one had the idea of like, well, there's a Hand of Vecna and an Eye of Vecna, so let's just spread rumors of a Head of Vecna.
Oh no.
Sure, there has to be a Head of Vecna.
Yeah.
Yes, and this led to the entire other party fighting over who got to cut their own head off and replace it with the Head of Vecna.
After several deaths, because, yeah, the non-evil party basically made a fake Head of Vecna and made sure it glue in the dark enough that they would think it was an artifact. Several deaths later in the evil party, they finally realized they were being played. This is an apocryphal message board story, but it's amusing enough to actually repeat.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, artifacts are amusing things the DM will kind of throw at you and or be a MacGuffin. Like, unless you're running an evil campaign, the Hand and Eye of Vecna are going to be
evil. We have tongs for a reason.
Yes. A very common thing we do, or a very common trope we'd use in our campaign is the holy tongs, which are used for handling magic items, just in case they had some random ass effect when you picked them up.
That's fair.
By holy tongs, we mean they're perfectly ordinary tongs for all it fucking matters, but...
If you hide behind the Hand and Eye of Vecna and you're not an evil character who wants to immediately cut off your own hand and jam this eye in your head, find someone else to give them to, then run.
Yeah.
You, big temple, you look like you protect these. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Pretty much.
But yeah, the actual story of the Hand of Eye of Vecna is, yeah, he left these behind as mummified remains of his own power before ascending to godhood. They are there just to screw with people.
As you do.
Yeah. He was also extremely evil.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Mace of an actual god, orbs of dragon kind.
But yeah, these are entirely just for the campaign. Artifacts generally are incredibly hard to destroy. They don't list under any artifact how to destroy it specifically.
There's one artifact in here that has rules on how to destroy it.
Oh, there was?
I mean, there's gotta be a Staff of the Archmagi.
Yeah, there's a Staff of the Magi.
Or Staff of Power, which is the actual, like, major version of the Staff of the Magi.
Let me find that. Boop, 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 boop.
Staff of the Magi also has Retributive Strike, but Staff of Power does too.
Staff of the Magi. I do not actually... Yeah, I don't actually see a Staff of Power.
Oh, no Staff of Power in 3.5?
No.
I mean, yes, page 245. It's literally there under the Staff of the Magi information.
Oh, 245 is just a normal... Well, that's a normal staff.
Oh, that's the normal version. Okay, Staff of the Magi.
Yeah.
Other way around. Staff of the Magi is the artifact version.
Yeah. Yeah, specifically Retributive
But it has
Strike.
a Retributive Strike.
Can be broken for retributive strike. Such an act must be purposeful and declared by the wielder. All charges on the staff are at least in a 30-foot spread. All 10 feet of the broken staff take hit point damage equal to 8 times the amount of charges left in the staff. 20 feet, 6 times. Yeah, crap tons of damage. DC 17 reflex save for half. Character breaking the staff has a chance of traveling to another plane.
50% chance to go to another plane, 50% chance for instant death.
Yep.
Yeah, it has a listed rule for how to break because Retributive Strike is one of both.
Yeah. Some items do, some items don't.
Yeah, so it mentions the Staff of Power. The Staff of Power is the regular magic item version of the artifact Staff of Power.
I do not actually, double checking, now that I think about it, I did not actually see the Axe of the Dwarven Lords. Because that's one that I do know has specific ways of breaking it. But yeah, they also do have listed, like, here are ways for you to break this. Throwing into volcano air of a dragon, crush under the heel of a demigod.
I don't think 3.5 book had a specific rule on how to break the Axe of the Dwarven Lord. Pathfinder did have rules for how to break all of its, or did have a thing how to break like basically every artifact in there.
Yeah.
With specific, but they were all, it wasn't like, oh, you can do, blankety blank. It's all very specific based on the artifact.
Yeah.
Like the Axe of the Dwarven Lords, you basically have to like give it to a goblin and have a goblin decapitate the current reigning, dwarf king or something along those lines.
Yeah, you had to have a goblin decapitate a dwarf king with it in order to destroy it.
Yeah.
It's right. Not quite as hard as trying to break it over an ant's knee.
No.
Not any ant's knee, a specific ant's knee. But yeah.
Shield of a god, base of a god.
Yeah. Yep. And more artifacts. But yeah, in general, artifacts are very much DM wants to involve them in the campaign for plot reasons. They're not
DM wants to involve in the campaign. DM will also more than likely make their own artifacts.
Yes, almost certainly. And past that, for some reason, is special materials. So we're back to stuff where player characters actually give a fuck.
I mean, they only really give a fuck about a couple. Mithril, which makes armor better.
Mithril, which actively makes armor better. And, okay, that's not entirely true because we're actually in 3.5. Cold iron, silver, and adamantite.
Cold iron and silver matter.
Cold iron and silver absolutely matter. Adamantite, much less so. But things will have DR in the monster manual. And, there's basically several common kinds of DR.
We talked about demons and devils a lot earlier. Devils have resistance that gets bypassed by silver, and demons have resistance that get bypassed by cold iron.
Yeah. Or
technically magic cold iron. Okay.
Yeah,
and then evil, other stuff on top of that as well.
Yeah. But yeah, the general resistance you're going to run into is magic, which after all is trivial. Alignment, usually DR good. Or it's literally the opposite of whatever their alignment is.
Whatever they are.
Yeah.
Good stuff hurts devils and demons, etc.
Yeah. But yeah, that alignment, and both demons and devils, you'll see cold iron and silver, but you also see cold iron and silver on other things, like lycanthropes are silver. Yeah, lycanthropes are silver. Cold iron is fey, basically.
Yeah.
Of some sort or another.
I think the only one here.
And adamantite is golems. Golems will have TR adamantite generally.
Dragonhide is useful specifically for druids if you want to be able to use heavier armor.
Yeah,
because you can do things like full plate, breastplate, but they're not made of metal, so druids can use them.
Yeah. Now, whether or not you'll actually want to is a different matter, but at least it's an option.
I mean, get a suit of armor, make it wild.
Yeah. I mean, the heavier armors, but yeah.
The heavy armor, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's a little bit slower when you're turning into something that has a massive move, anyways?
Also, technically, adamantite armor does have DR. It's just a lot of money for the DR. And it has to be, like, on the heavier side.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
And
you're doing adamantite in your armor instead of mithril.
Yeah, which is the bigger issue, because mithril... So yeah, mithril reduces the armor by 1 category, which means you can still wear medium armor and move as if you're light. Increases the max dex by 2, Reduces spell failure chance by 10%. It doesn't reduce anything to 0, but there are other things later that can do that, so you can actually wear armor
it reduces
as an arcane
exclusively
caster.
light shields, because light
Yeah.
shield's only 5.
Yeah.
Also, it reduces the armor technologies by 3.
Yeah. Also, summary of magic item creation costs. Something that is done far less in this edition than in Pathfinder is probably one of the strangely better balanced things, but I do understand why it disappeared. Yeah, in 3.5 you do have to pay EXP in order to actually craft magic items, which keeps magic item crafting in check, because otherwise costs are...
Otherwise, you double your money.
Provided
you have the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes it's even more than that, because the costs are related to how much EXP is being spent on the spells. So some stuff goes to actually a really cheap cost, but a crap ton of experience in order to craft it. Which translates just straight money if you're just buying it. Like anything that involves wishes, for example, will just rocket up in cost if you're not casting the wish yourself, basically. Let's see. And also this handy dandy glossary, and oh god, is it big! Also one of the most useful things in this edition, because if you need the rules for things, it's there. On the other hand, it needs to exist, and it is very annoying because of it. Yeah. Then we get kind of the back of the book, which has templates. And okay, I am glad they moved away from the diagonal is 1 square, 2 square, because it's kind of fucking obnoxious.
But it made cones make more sense.
But it makes cones make more sense. It makes radiuses make more sense. It's like all these squares actually look correct for what you're trying to do. It's not worth it as a trade-off, but it is actually kind of a neat thing looking back on it. Like, these cones are actually cones. Those radiuses are actually radii.
Yep.
And yeah,
actual cones and radiuses as opposed to squares.
Yes. Now, granted, it's still in squares, so but it's
but it's a circle in squares and a cone in squares. It's not. I have an X radius cube because we don't do corners.
Yeah. And yeah, the back of the book.
Back of the book.
Hooray, we made it. All in one night.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the DM's guide. It is not as bad as the player's handbook, but that's judging an apple by an orange for starters, and also
entirely different purposes.
Yeah, entirely different purposes. The biggest annoyance of the DM's guide is how much of it they think is supposed to be the purview of the DM, and it really actually repairs the game to do the exact opposite. Like, the magic item section is very much how you don't fix marshals. They're still underpowered, but it keeps them from being like straight up in the trash can and worthless.
It gives them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
I feel like some of this ended up in the DM's guide less because it is really the purview of DMs. Whatever. Is more of a, we needed to stick this in a book, but the player's handbook was already so large because of the spell section that we had to put this in another book. We just made the DM's guide for that because we didn't have enough to fill it with just DM information.
Yeah. It is notable
but there are some weird things that end up in it, like why are there rules for making characters above level 1 in the DM's guide, not the player's guide?
And why is the wealth by level not in the rules
in the campaign section?
Like, why is this table here specifically?
There's a whole section about making characters higher than level 1. The wealth table isn't there. Yeah. Oddities like that.
Yeah. It's notable that when Pathfinder did when Pathfinder came out, it only actually has 2 books, and the vast majority of this book just got shoved into the core rules.
Yep.
Which is the first book. The other book is the Bestiary, which makes sense to separate.
Civic DM's guide.
Yeah.
Opening Salva.
Which is good. Which is mostly good. I don't think they threw DM's advice into Pathfinder, but anyone who was buying Pathfinder was already basically playing 3.5 anyways, so it's not the most needed thing in the world to have DM's
Pathfinder
advice.
was made to effectively be Wizards is stepping away from 3.5 to do 4th. People don't like 4th. We're filling a niche.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the majority of the people who are going into this are people who wanted that in.
Yeah. But yeah, Judge on its own thing, it's not actually a bad book. It's got its problems, but the problems are just the inherent problems of 3.5. It's very dated when it comes to its advice, but again, that's more a problem of it being released in 2003 than anything else.
And I still maintain part of it's just you can only do so much trying to put in text how to do
That's true too. And
it.
again,
I think as a base guideline, it's fine, but there's so much you're not going to learn until you play the game. Once you've played the game on either side of it, then you can figure out how things like dynamics work for the party to actually really run a game, like at least a full-on custom-created campaign type game.
yeah. And as far as DMing itself, it is a practice skill. The more you DM, the more experience you get as DMing, the more you learn what works for you as well as your players.
Yeah.
It is an art, and it very much needs to play with the audience that you have. Or you can try to find the audience that you want, and I don't recommend that. But yeah, that is it, and hopefully we will get on to doing more. I think even the monster manual shouldn't even take us an entire night, so we will hopefully start picking up pace and doing more than one a night when it comes to these books.
Yeah.
To be fair, not many of them are as important to the overall experience as the PHP and the DMG.
No.
They're a lot more tight in what they are.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like
And they straight up
everything else is building on this effectively. So
yeah,
like we don't need to explain the core mechanics anymore. Those all occurred in DM's guide, for Master's Handbook. So we don't need to touch on those points again as we're talking about how features work in later stuff.
yeah. So yeah, join us next time for the Monster Manual and possibly something else past it, depending on how quickly we get through the Monster Manual. By possibly saying else, I mean the Miniatures Handbook.
It's next in line.
Yeah. Technically, there are two books next in line because they got released in the same month, but the Miniatures Handbook is the smaller of the two, so it will be the easier one to fit in if we finish early enough.
It's the Miniatures Handbook.
I could also spend some extra time trying to figure out what the Protective Aura spell does.
Good luck. I mean, Google will tell you, but...
No, it won't. I've tried.
Oh my.
Protective Aura?
Huh? Protective Aura. I even tried trying to find a errata for the book, but that didn't work out either. In any case, we'll get to it when we get to the Book of Exalted Deeds. We may or may not have solved the mystery by then.
Yep.
For now, we'll call it here. So
Found it. Protective Aura, 3.5 E-spell.
It doesn't say homebrew
level.
at the top.
It does say homebrew.
On the
You are
homebrew
correct.
page, correct.
Yeah.
It is not a real spell. Or it's not. That is not the real spell.
Yeah. I initially went, oh, okay, it's, oh, wait, I see homebrew, never mind. But yeah, join us on Sunday for Super Robot Wars 30 as we continue to plot along on that game. Join us on Monday for more Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Nuzlocke Soul Link, where Shiv and Hunter attempt to not have to restart the game and move on to the next one again.
We're past the hard part. How can... Oh god, we fight him again.
Hey, at least my house fight's easy as shit. One of those Pokemon's a Ditto.
That's true.
That's true.
One of those Pokemon shows up and gets karate chopped in half.
Yeah, my half fight actually was pretty simple.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're golden at this point. Especially now that we have the XP share.
Yeah, we have XP share. We have 3 Pokemon in our team. We have an alternate swap too. Whatever. If my Azulf, or if our Azulf, whatever the other one side was. I don't remember what your side of that one was.
Weedle. Mine's a Weedle.
Yeah, it was a bug.
Yeah.
Pairing dies. Like we got options. We're gonna hit more routes.
Yep.
We're fine.
Yeah. And join us back here next week on Thursday for the Monster Manual and possibly the Miniatures Handbook. Till then, I'm Vincent.
I've been the Krampus.
I've been Shiv.
I've been Hunter Green.
And I'm Vincent. And remember, everyone, hindsight's 2020.